throwing their weight around in Toronto.
This is Rob Ford.
Rob Ford, the mayor.
Ford.
Yeah. He's a bit out of control, isn't he? They can't do anything about it. They can't get rid of him. And he sort of basically said, yeah, I did crack cocaine, but I was completely pissed at the time. That's kind of been his defence.
Yeah. Haven't they got rid of him by now, though?
No, he's still staying. Captain Rob Ford, Mayor of Toronto.
They can't get rid of him.
I mean, people these days do resign at the drop of a hat. It's hard not to slightly admire the guy when he's this banged to rights. He's been caught on video smoking crack cocaine.
Yeah. So you think
So don't worry, Rob Ford.
Richard
on. Bacon is throwing his weight behind you, so you're going to be all right.
So let me tell you the best fact of the week. This is the best fact of the week. When he admitted that he'd smoked crack cocaine, his approval ratings went up.
Boris, if you're watching...
Yeah.
But how low were they when they... It might be just the crack dealers going, yeah.
Have you got the footage of when he ran around the Parliament?
Oh, I have.
This is like a bowling ball.
This is him running around the City Hall debating chamber and knocking over a pensioner. Buffet's open.
Oh! Right, Paul and Marcus.
There's a woman being inflated on the beach.
Yeah, that's the girl who was accused of being a Russian spy because she went out with a politician. They found that she wasn't a Russian spy, she was just a Russian.
Yep, you're quite right.
They thought she was a spy. She used to go into the House of Commons canteen and say, these sausages are rather cold for this time of year. The seagull flies high above Krakow. It sounded like secret messages.
I think they actually thought she was a spy because she made a beeline for a member of the Liberal Democratic Party.
So not very well informed, then?
No. They thought, what other reason could there possibly be?
It's phoning the Kremlin going, they are going to make corduroy compulsory.
Indeed, this is Katya Zyteleviter, who had...
I know, you bet you've practised that, haven't you?
Конечно.
Yeah, it was very good.
That's all my Russian.
That's very good. You just learned her name and that was it?
No, конечно. I just said of course.
Bless you. Oh, of course as well, blimey.
Здравствуйте. Меня зовут Кирсти. Как тебя зовут?
Oh! Very good. Very good.
Hold on a minute, I just want to ring MI5.
Yeah, exactly. You're falling for the oldest trick in the book. We invited you onto this show. This show's not going out this week. These are cardboard figures. That's not Charles Brandy, that's a puppet. For the Muppet Show. It was. Basically, Ryan Giggs has spent an awful lot of money to ensure that he's become world famous for stuff other than football.
Yeah.
But people still might be sued for telling people that it was him, so...
Yeah, well, that's right. The MP, John Hemming,
he
said that apparently 75,000 people named Ryan Giggs on Twitter. It's not possible to arrest them all. Well, I mean, it's worth a go, though, isn't it? I mean, well, the thing is, the injunction is still in place.
That's right.
That's the thing.
Absolutely.
Despite the people keep going blabbing it out, there's a legal expert, Joshua Rosenberg.
Yeah.
This is what he had to say about it, right?
Well, the law is clear. There is still a court order in force which says that we can't name Ryan Giggs as the person who did these proceedings.
But please, we can say his name, though, because I was getting so fed up. Every newspaper, every day, it was like, Imogen Thomas has been having sexual liaisons with a man who cannot be named. It's like, what, Voldemort?
Yeah.
I sort of see why he did it as well, Ryan Giggs, because you get the superintelligence. He knows that if his identity was known, then people would know not only who he was, but also that his marriage was on the rocks. And at that point, John Terry would be round his house like a sex-crazed wicket.
Yes, the worst kept secret in Britain is finally out. Lawyers are a complete waste of money. As the row unfolded, thousands of Twitter users named Ryan Giggs in what the Daily Mail called one of the biggest acts of civil disobedience in modern times. Top that, Syria, lightweights.
America?
Yes, of course. They've just had these mid-term elections. There's Sarah Palin, Ian's favourite. And then there's Obama, the president, who is not doing very well at the moment. The American people, 1 in 4 think he's Muslim, 1 in 10 think he's a terrorist, 1 in 50 think he's a holiday they took in Mexico in 1968.
In the last US election, it was hockey moms. Who are the rabid right-wing Republican banshees these days? What are they called now?
Mama Grizzlies.
Mama Grizzly and the Tea Party.
Sarah Palin said Mama Grizzlies are ordinary people with common sense who just kind of know when something is wrong.
That's good.
When she was nominated for vice president, the head of the Republican Party in Alaska was asked what her qualifications for high office were. And he paused, and she said, she's the right age, and she's an American citizen.
She gave a radio interview. The host said, how would you handle a situation like the one that just developed in North Korea? Palin, obviously we've got to stand with our North Korean allies. To which the host replied, South Korean. Yeah, said Palin.
How's Bill Clinton been helping out?
Oh, God, has he been campaigning for them? Is that why they've lost so badly? It's that awful moment when Neil Kinnock says, I support you as a candidate.
I think he'd be good for them, wouldn't he, though?
Do you? You liked him? You liked Bill Clinton?
I thought he seemed like a very nice man.
Did you meet him?
I have met him once, actually, yes.
Was he at one of your concerts?
No, he wasn't. He made me feel very special. He came...
Did you keep the dry cleaning receipt?
Yeah.
On the eve of the election, Bill Clinton made his own contribution to the campaign. According to The Times, Mr. Clinton went through 9 different states, including arousal, ecstasy, exhaustion and guilt.
Yes, this is...
Miss BMP?
Yeah. I don't think he's a real policeman. We do these things so much better than anybody else, don't we? Weddings. Somebody said they employed lip readers to sort of see what they were saying. She said, I do at one point. He said, I do at another point. But apparently Prince Charles at one point turned to Camilla and tried his lip reader, and apparently he said...
Yeah, what nugget did David Cameron share with Nick Clegg?
I've never liked you.
I want a divorce.
Yeah.
He revealed I had to have my trousers let out.
Let's be honest, she's a good-looking girl, but there's no need for that. I mean, that's not...
It's not seamless.
That is just disrespectful. Oi, use the hymn book, use the hymn book. That's what he said.
What else have they got left to sell off?
I think the next one will be lamp posts. I think they'll sell off lamp posts and you'll have to put 5p in a little meter. And it'll give you just enough light to get to the next one and you put another...
Somewhere George Osborne is writing that down, you know that.
You know, the Royal Mail owns a brilliant miniature electric railway that goes from Paddington to Whitechapel. Yeah. And it used to take the mail right across London. It hasn't been used for about 8 to 10 years.
That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it, to use that?
Yeah, they're thinking about using it for shops on Oxford Street. They could have their own little spout and then they put all the goods up and down it and it just whizzes around.
Mark, you were saying earlier that Margaret Thatcher always refused to sell off the Royal Mail. What reason did she give?
Oh, wasn't it something about the Queen's head, wasn't it?
Yeah, she said, I am not prepared to have the Queen's head privatised.
Yeah.
Because it was Dennis's favourite pub, I think.
Hey.
What else did we find out about Margaret Thatcher this week?
She swore quite a lot.
I bet she didn't describe people as that bigoted woman, though, did she, when the radio mic was left on?
Probably not. She probably didn't say we've just won the World Cup either. There's lots of things she didn't say. Can't go through them all now.
Oh, go on, just a couple more.
A couple more. That's not my kitten. I'm sorry, officer, I had no idea it was hydrochloric acid. Those are the 3 things she's never said.
I tell you what, I bet she used to have a ride on that little Royal Mail train there.
Exactly, screaming like a banshee.
I'm not for turning, she'd say when she was on it. When I got to Whitechapel, she'd have to walk back.
An American phrase to describe the Tories, beating up on the poor. Why would you say that? How do you beat up on someone? Do you use that in Canada? Is it a Canadian thing?
I don't remember. In Trinidad they do, though.
They beat up on people?
They say beat up on.
Do you think
Sounds
that's where
nicer
Cleggy
like
got
that.
it from?
Of course he did. I was with Cleggy out there for Carnival. The guy's nuts. Why do you think he's got no ideas?
How many...
We hit it hard. Yes. Rum punch, Clegg style. Oh, man, too much hot sauce on the roti, huh? You're right, it is good accent.
What did Nick...
kept on their toes for a new series of Have I Got News for You, starting this Friday at 9 on BBC One.
Fingers on Buzz's teams for the next one.
Have they shut the Humber Bridge to stop people going to Hull?
Stop people going to Hull?
Yeah.
They don't want any more tourists. They've got enough.
Maybe they're trying a new slogan, Hull, one letter different from hell.
Could be it, couldn't it?
Well, you're in the right neighbour. Both of you are in the right neighbourhood.
John Prescott's from Hull, or he's MP for Hull.
Yeah.
That's why they just close Hull.
Yes. He's not an MP anymore, is he? Other than being no, he's
Member of the House of Lords.
Oh right, he's a lord in Hull as well.
Is he the Lord of Hull?
Well, I don't know. I am the Lord of Hull.
It is to do with Hull, but it's actually The Economist magazine. They have a very specific view on Hull.
It should be shut down. Is that what they...
Absolutely right, yes. The Economist magazine thinks that the city should be closed down along with Burnley, Middlesbrough and Hartlepool.
Closed down?
Just closed down.
Why?
The Economist described any efforts to save struggling northern communities as misguided. You lived in Leeds, didn't you?
Yeah, I was born in Leeds.
You were born in Leeds?
Yeah.
Should they close that down?
Leeds is doing very well. It's
Is it doing-
thriving.
Have you heard of Leeds, Ian?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a football team in Leeds, isn't there?
There is. Leeds United. Yeah.
You see? Local knowledge.
Paul, any view on Leeds?
So good they named it once.
Yes, this is The Economist magazine's plan to shut Hull. Grim, dull and uninspiring. The Economist comes out every week.
Fingers on Buzz's teams. Here's the next one.
Two lookalikes got married. They were professional lookalikes, and he... I think I got this the right way around.
He looks like Debbie Harry.
Debbie Harry, that's right. And she, bless her, looks like
somebody out of Thunderbirds.
Here are the happy couple.
Yeah.
Oh, it's uncanny.
Anyone know who else came to the wedding?
Robert Mugabe. Oh, I tell you, he was
Jocelyn
very
Como.
good. That's right,
Jocelyn
yeah.
Como was there.
Bomber Harris.
Bomber Harris.
Shall we have a look at their
Yes, please.
mates and
Yeah,
who they're
yeah,
supposed
yes,
to
please.
be?
As we thought.
Gordon Ramsay, Ricky Gervais, the couple and David Beckham.
Not doing too bad, is
No,
what we
doing
like.
all right, yeah. Once you close your eyes, it's easier.
Yeah. Worst of all, this is supposed to be Mr. T. Well, it's ridiculous because Dennis Thatcher was white, so...
Yeah. That was one of the things he was quite insistent on.
Also, Kate and Prince William turned up. Who didn't look like himself this week? Anyone see this picture?
Tom Jones.
Yeah.
Is that real?
Yeah. Looks pretty good for a tomato of his age.
Is he learning Mandarin by becoming an orange?
Blimey, students, they've woken up. They've been told that the teaching budget's been cut, they're going to have to pay 3 times as much and pay it back for the rest of their lives, and they're thinking, I'm not sure I approve of that.
A student was interviewed and said, and I quote, "There's no jobs out there, and now they're asking us to pay £9 grand a year, which if you do 3 years, that's like 21 grand."
Of course, the Lib Dems were staunchly saying, of course, they wouldn't go up, which is great that they got in power and put it up.
Yeah. Well, they had no idea they were going to be in power when they...
Well, they could
when they made these promises.
Nick Clegg keeps saying it's the right government for the right time, which I think is such a seedy way to sort of dignify opportunism. You know, he would have made a pact with the Klingons if it meant a sniff of power.
I don't know, I think the Klingon manifesto was pretty good.
No. I'm going to disagree here because the Klingons have shown in the past that they're hell-bent on world domination, so I'm glad the Liberal Democrats are in there with them.
And the Klingons always get the Lib Dems to make the policy announcements.
Absolutely.
They're going to blow up a whole planet. They say, oh, get the Lib Dem to announce it.
The Lib Dem party in this arrangement is the equivalent of the guy you see on Star Trek walking around the planet who you've never seen before, is the first one to get killed. That's the Liberal Democrats in this scenario.
But how does Nick Clegg look at himself in the mirror in the mornings?
Just looks at David Cameron and sees the same thing.
It's a new starter home.
It's a man who's tried to post himself.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes, it is. This is the news that a burglar has been posting himself to businesses in order to rob them.
Fantastic.
How does he get out with the loot?
Well, how does he get himself delivered in the first place? Does he just sort of get into the box outside a post office with the address on it in the hope that the postman will go, I must have missed that earlier. 15-stone package.
Do you know what ruined the plan in the end?
Yeah, wrong postage.
Yeah, not enough.
This isn't a British story, though, is it?
No, he's Polish.
Yeah, because you'd just die in the box, wouldn't you? Waiting to be sent.
They force him through the letterbox. do not bend. It specifically said do.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication Reg Transfers, the magazine for the world of personal number plates. And we start with Simon Cowell reveals what?
Reveals his number plate.
You probably can't see Simon Cowell's number plate for all the cigarette smoke billowing around his pregnant girlfriend. Did you see? There were pictures of... Did you not see that?
Were people smoking?
There's a picture of him in a car, fagging away, pregnant girlfriend in the passenger seat.
Unbelievable. I thought he was evil before, but...
Simon Cowell reveals his baby name choice is Simon.
Oh.
The baby's due in February. Simon Cowell's already got a high chair, some tiny clothes and a booster seat. All he needs now is to get some stuff for the baby. Next, Cornelius Gurlitt has been hiding what?
Is it complete as it is? Just been hiding?
That's the Nazi art.
Masterpieces, yeah.
I will give you that. Cornelius Gurlitt has been hiding secret Nazi art stash.
Yeah.
All the paintings were confiscated in the early 1940s, or as art historians call it, Hitler's angry period. Next, in Essex, we all have what?
Automatic weapons. An intrinsic knowledge of our local area. Personalised number plates.
Personalised plates.
Yeah.
There we are, yes. In Essex, we all have personal plates. I wanted my initials on my car, but I didn't fancy splashing out in a personalised number plate, so I just bought a second-hand AA van. Brilliant. Next, police dogs will receive what?
I know this.
Go on, then.
Pensions. They're going to get pensions.
Pensions?
Absolutely right.
And rightly so.
Yeah.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
I can't believe nobody said truncheon meat.
Now, they did. That response is the reason why nobody did.
Next, George W. Bush planning what?
A gallery, an exhibition.
Yeah.
He's going to open an exhibition.
Yeah, but that's almost there, yes. He's planning to paint a series of... He's planning to paint a... Oh, Lord.
George W. Bush planning to paint portrait series
of world
leaders. God, we used to accuse him of not being able to read.
Yeah. According to the Telegraph, he is also known to dabble in landscapes, as the people of Iraq know only too well. And finally, David Suchet admits to what when playing Poirot?
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah. What is it?
Yes, he's got a penny up his arse, hasn't he? So it helps him mince the walk.
Oh, absolutely right, yep. David Suchet admits to clenching a penny between his buttocks when playing Poirot.
Which he learnt from Laurence Olivier.
Yeah.
Who I think had more than pennies up his arse at one stage.
Right down to the line, Godfrey.
Sorry. I know you won't ask me back.
So, the final...
Now, who reshuffled themselves this week?
An extremist are you looking for, Richard?
I am looking for an extremist, but that's after the show.
Tommy Robinson.
Oh, the English Defence League.
Tommy Robinson, the English Defence League.
Tommy Robinson, absolutely
yes.
right. What did he do this week?
He resigned from the English Defence League and...
He found out, much to his horror, that a lot of them were racist.
I can't...
Didn't understand
I don't know what's going on. I mean, we used to march into Muslim areas and that and go Muslims out, and we ate Muslims and we ate Pakis and that, and then it turns out some of them were anti-Islam. So I went off them.
And do you know what Tommy? And do you know what Tommy Robinson does for a living?
Does he work at the United Nations? Because he could see sick children with Roger Moore and Lulu.
He also used to run a tanning shop.
Exactly right, yes.
What, changing the colour of people's skin?
Yeah.
So your customer comes in, come in, madam, and next after half an hour later, you can get out.
The tragic lawnmower accident involving the royal correspondent, Nicholas Witchell.
Tokyo, inventors of the latest high-tech toy, the Kickbot, admit it may have been a mistake to base the software on the England team's recent performance.
In the kitchen of Heston Blumenthal's restaurant, there's evidence that someone's ordered the slow-cooked lamb.
And after analysing the first leadership debate, body language experts conclude that in the event of a hung parliament, Nick Clegg would dither and then join the Tories.
So this is Wayne Rooney, who this week has had a hair transplant.
Do you know how the operation actually works?
Yeah. They find the hairs on his arse and pull them all the way through.
I knew it.
Well, apparently what they do is they dig out the hair follicles from
Yeah.
a place on his body where the hair's still growing.
Yeah, exactly.
And stick them on his head.
Exactly.
How did the news leak out that Wayne had had a weave?
He tweeted on Twitter. He showed his bonce, his arse bonce to the world. His bum head was displayed. There we are, there he is, old bottom nut.
Not bad, but he was actually trying to take a picture of a dog having a shit.
What, in his car?
What did his message that accompanied the picture say?
My head feel great, but my ass hurt a little bit.
And how would you describe Wayne's old hairstyle?
Defunct, gone.
Well, technically it's known as a widow's peak, which usually for Wayne is around 75. His avatar on the brand new FIFA 12 football game will need to be altered as it features his old widow's peak. I think actually if you look closer in the background of that picture, you can just make out Ryan Giggs shagging his sister-in-law.
The Telegraph, thousands of people lining the streets have given the relay a carnival feel. For example, someone dressed as a cod and another as a chip in Falmouth. You Brits really know how to put on a show.
You wait till you see our opening ceremony.
There'll be hundreds of chips.
6 or 7 cod.
Boris in a giant cod costume.
This is the Olympic torch, which is boldly going where no Olympic torch has gone before. Namely, yes, I agree with you. Namely, Truro and Il Fracum.
Sounds deeply sexual.
Kind of like a cigar advert. Have you been to Il Fracum?
I have.
The place is laced with prostitution.
That's their new slogan now.
That's right. Come and get laid in Il Fracum.
There is the happy man. Oh, there he is, look. Yes, it's the new royal wedding for next year to cope with the economic straits, the terrible climate out there. It takes all our mind off it by saying, look, she looks like Diana. Look at her, look at her. And that's what we're all going to do.
She's a commoner as well, because she's only upper middle class. What is it they said she's going to make the royal family more accessible to the public?
Yes.
I think it sets a challenge for Prince Harry to go and find himself a proper scumbag.
What was Harry's response to the engagement? It means I can get a sister.
A deep coma. The sheer tedium of the subject. He said, even as a member of the royal family, I've had it up to here, he said. Or was it up to there? I can't remember.
And they promised me I wouldn't be forced into doing any painful puns in light of a recent incarnation of mine as Sherlock Holmes. So without any further ado, let's move on to round 2. The round of the Baskervilles. Buzz when you know what the story is.
Yes, this is the Kim Jong-ling, whatever his name is, and that's his son there who's had sewn onto his lapel. They sat in the Korean town square and watched these idiots parading up and down with their boots, you know, identical marching and stuff, you know, just a ludicrous display of conformity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is pretty much what this is about. But let's just get the North Korean names straight, shall we?
Yes, do.
Who's this? That's Kim Il-sung. Kim
That's the
Il-sung,
father.
the previous dictator.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's Kim Jong-il.
Yeah.
Looking a little bit lonely. now for his son,
Yeah.
Kim Jong-un.
It looks like he might bring hope and optimism to a very good nation.
And so who's this then? If it's not Danny Dyer.
Is that the other son?
It is the other son, Kim
'Cause, yeah.
Jong-nam.
He's not got the job as next dictator. He's given
Do
it
you
to
know
the
why?
younger son. Because the father didn't like him.
Do you know why he didn't like him?
Was it the hat?
Did he dislike him because he's got a small lampshade tied to his index finger? There's a lot of fathers that would put them right off you.
No, he wanted to visit Disneyland Tokyo. ITV had a man in the field there, and the intrepid reporter attempted to assess the relative popularity of the Kims. Let's have a look how he did it.
There are no opinion polls in this country of dictators, but I did get a chance to carry out an extremely unscientific measure of the young general's popularity. Well, let's see how popular the new leader will be. Kim Jong-sung. Kim Jong-il. Kim Jong-un. Much more popular.
This is the unveiling of Kim Jong-un as successor to Kim Jong-il. Chief of the North Korean army, Ri Yong-ho, had a message for the nation saying if the US imperialists and their followers infringe on our sovereignty and dignity even slightly, we will blow up the stronghold of their aggression with a merciless and righteous retaliatory strike. Adding LOL, smiley face, kiss, kiss.
According to the Daily Telegraph, in musical terms, the song is an unlikely combination of choral and rap, known as crap.
I think I'd rather like that. What? Zadok.
Really good.
You'll never guess what I just imagined. I imagined that was empty.
It's the best reaction I've ever got out of Paul.
You've never said before. Oh, well, that's guaranteed that to be in, otherwise you won't explain this to anybody. Oh, dear.
Let's move to Scotland.
Yes, let's
move to
Well, the
Scotland.
recording's not going that badly.
Why is this big tent up in Nicola Sturgeon's garden?
She got 2 garden waste bins, is that...
Is that what this is about? You've got 2 gardens.
Yeah.
I mean, it was quite a big event in Scotland. I mean, the former First Minister's husband, who was the chief executive of the SNP, was arrested, and the police swooped.
But it's missing 600 grand, isn't it?
Yeah, they raised 600 grand for a referendum campaign, and there wasn't a referendum, and then the money seems to have disappeared, and then Nicola Sturgeon's husband lent over 100,000 to his own party, and he said his wife didn't know, because they don't talk much.
Looks like they don't even share a recycling bin.
We should say Peter Murrell has been released without charge pending further investigation.
We should, but it'd be funnier not to. You know, in Scotland, I mean, if there's a big loan crisis involving the leader, you know, something happens. In this country, you know, usually the bloke stays as chairman of the BBC, so...
Sorry, no, I'm just being told you're not even allowed to think.
Where do you want to start?
Well, why don't we start with the warm-up for the Prime Minister? Did you see that? He was warmed up by his wife?
Yes, usually you're introduced by a colleague or a friend, but that's obviously not going to happen. This time, Rishi decided he'd get his wife to come on, and she came on and said, he's a really good bloke, he's decent, he's honourable, and you thought, this is the Conservative Party, this isn't going to work. Should have come on and said, look, he's a pathological liar, he's completely economically illiterate, vote for him, and they'd have been screaming on their feet.
She did actually describe him as
my best friend.
Yeah, she said we're one team, which will interest the revenue.
And what was the big announcement that he had to make?
That he's still Prime Minister 1 year on.
The big thing they're going to do, or perhaps not going to do.
Is it something to do with HS2, by any chance? Yeah?
Yes.
Because they're following on their policy, stop the boats and also the trains.
Which of Boris's acquaintances have embarrassed him recently?
Evgeny Lebedev.
That's right. Lord Lebedev, the son of a KGB oligarch and owner of various newspapers. Boris Johnson denies getting involved in security discussions over Lebedev's elevation to the House of Lords.
The suggestion was that Lebedev was a security risk, you know, and that's why he shouldn't be a peer. But I can think of a lot of other reasons he shouldn't be a peer. I mean, he just supported Boris. He owned newspapers and supported him in the mayoral election, which looks like corruption. Isn't, obviously.
The thing I like about Lebedev is... is he sounds like a conversation between Bill and Ben, the flower pot.
Yeah. He originally wanted his title to be Lord Lebedev of Moscow.
I'd have gone for Lord Lebedev of Levered.
What else has Rishi been pushing to the nation more recently? What's he very keen for us all to do? Maths. Yes, he wants to reimagine our approach to numeracy.
When I read that, like, his school has, the school he used to go to, has a private art collection, I just thought, like, my school had a private art collection, but it was like a cock and balls behind the bank shed.
Was it a Picasso?
That's a private art collection, isn't it?
I used to teach maths.
Did you?
Yeah, I know.
He's announced this twice now, it's his thing. But this time he actually elaborated a little and he said, look, if we were better at maths as a nation, you know, we would be less likely to lose tens of billions of pounds. And you thought, does the name Liz Truss ring a bell?
The most exciting moment was Keir Starmer getting glittered. The protester, no one quite knows what he was actually protesting because it was very long and complicated, and he was still explaining it as he was being dragged past us.
I thought it was someone from Just Stop Strictly.
I'm actually dressed up as Keir Starmer in the glitter
God.
and the red.
Starmer wouldn't be wearing red.
What was the point of the glitter, though? Was it at a level of interest?
Yeah, I mean, it made Starmer look great. Everyone around me was saying, well, doesn't he look great in that?
But he had to take his jacket off, which it looked slightly rehearsed. So suddenly it was... Keir gets down to work, shirt sleeves, no jacket, not formal, not posh.
And I think it was rehearsed because he'd ironed his shirt sleeves, and whoever does that, unless they're planning to take their jacket off.
Oh, you think this was choreographed?
Yeah, I think it was well, no, I don't really.
Well, GB News, they like a conspiracy theory. Well, the Select Committee was asked to look into the handling of COVID, and their response was that it was probably, I don't know, not very good. No, they actually said it was the worst public health crisis in British history.
That's right.
So the government's COVID response is up there with the Black Death. I'm not exaggerating. I'm trying to be balanced.
So what did the report find? It concluded we didn't lock down quickly enough, we didn't protect the elderly in care homes, we didn't close borders quickly enough, and we were wrong to pursue herd immunity. I mean, Gavin Williamson would call that an A-star performance. The report was severely critical of the £38 billion test and trace system, calling it slow, uncertain and often chaotic. Dido Harding was unavailable for comment. I say unavailable, no one could track her down.
The report did say as well that we should have challenged the science before.
Well, that's right.
Because I thought the science was like this one thing that everyone agreed with. Turns out there are lots of sciences and they don't always agree. But I would say that the British public, we challenged the science a lot. I mean, on my family WhatsApp group, everyone was virologists, do you know what I mean?
Why has our vaccination rollout been so successful?
Has it?
No, I don't believe what... It's difficult when they say
it's been a real success, because I feel like the government always says, what we've done is a great success. And then they talk sense sometimes, but I feel like if wisdom started coming from the toilet, I would be suspicious, because I'd say, well, that sounds true, but it's coming from the toilet.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel anytime Matt Hancock speaks.
But there was a very, very good guide this week. The Prime Minister was asked why he thought our figures were going down so much, and he said, the important thing to remember, it was not the vaccination, it was the lockdown. And I thought, great, it's the vaccination.
You know, we've now got our relationship with the EU on an even keel as well, haven't we? We're sending them the Kent variant, and they're sending us the vaccine. It's a pretty good deal, really.
You're way out of line, fella. Right.
Genuinely, I'm going to say it, that 48 hours is the most I've enjoyed football in my lifetime. And I say that as a football fan, because you had anger, you had excitement. That's why I'm into football. And then we won. I've never experienced that before. It was everything.
Which team do you support?
Plymouth.
Oh, I see.
We weren't in the 12.
No. You're lucky to be in the 92, aren't you?
And then it created a situation where Boris Johnson was seemingly taking an anti-capitalist stance. I heard him, you know, complaining about the commodification of football, how it couldn't be untethered from its roots and just sold around the world. And I was like, not expecting that. So, you know, starting to see kind of like socialism perhaps creep in as a not quite, certainly a response I hadn't anticipated.
Do we suspect that those billionaires who own those clubs had failed to donate to the Tory party?
Never that. Ian, did you take part in the protests at all?
I was down there outside the
Wembley.
Wembley.
No, don't help him. Watching Ian struggle with popular culture is one of the highlights of my life.
She did suggest that certain types of racism should be considered racism and others should be just merely prejudice.
Yeah.
And that included Irish people, travellers, and Jews.
Yeah.
And this is a bit of a problem for the Labour Party, the putting the word Jews in again.
Yeah.
And yes, it was late at night and she was sending a formal letter to the Observer, so, you know, hey, we've all done it.
Well, like so many first drafts of any letter you write, there's a hell of a lot of racism in there. That's what second drafts are for.
That's right.
Dear milkman, why is my milk white?
There's so many things that have to go wrong there. 1, you write a racist draft. 2, you open an email. 3, you add an attachment. 4, well, how is it? I don't understand how this has been an error.
She did apologise for a letter. The explanation was that she has sent an initial draft, and she had obviously had a couple of initial drafts.
She tried to say that the errors arose. It's like she didn't write them down, they just arose, like mould. She just left the window open and some anti-Semitism just kind of settled on the letter.
There was a wonderful moment where Keir Starmer had to pretend that this wasn't terrifically good news. So he's very, very sad that he had to sack this ghastly old friend of Jeremy's. And out she goes, goodbye.
Actually, Diane Abbott has had the whip removed by Keir Starmer.
Yes, she's not been sacked.
She's not been sacked. Diane Abbott's just had the whip removed.
Yes, that's very different
by
from
Keir
being
Starmer.
sacked. I'm glad no one said she'd been sacked.
She's not been sacked.
No,
She's had the
it's
whip
just having the
removed.
whip removed.
Yeah.
Very, very different.
It's a very simple procedure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite an extraordinary thing to say that redheads have been through the same thing that Jews. Can you imagine gingers wandering the desert for 40 years? They wouldn't last 40 seconds. I mean, the burning bush wasn't even a bush. It was a redhead who forgot their sunscreen.
Why does the king think we should be playing the bagpipes?
He's finally lost it. Oh, it's very good for your breathing.
Yes.
It's really good for your lungs.
Yes, exactly, that's right. No, it's good for your health. A Scotsman advised that beginners may wish to find a large field to play in. But I prefer a panel show to practice on.
Oh, yeah.
So, there we go. Yeah, it's really good for your health.
While you're recovering from
I was wondering why we'd never done that before.
Now, due to COVID and the shortages, why might it be easier to get into a club this year? When you go into a club,
yes,
what's there to sort of make it difficult for you?
The music for me.
Security, the bouncers. Oh, there's a shortage of bouncers.
That's right.
Yes.
There's a shortage of bouncers.
Yes.
Oh. Which is great news for you, Ian, because you don't need to keep colouring your trainers with a Sharpie. I don't even know what that means, Ian, but anyway.
So why is there a shortage of bouncers?
There's not enough of them.
It's going to be...
I don't think there's a shortage in Essex. Everyone's
Really?
a bouncer.
Everyone?
Oh, a bouncer every 3 doors along. What do you do for a job? Bouncer. Genuinely.
Can you have one in your own home?
How do you know I haven't? And I saw you outside on the lawn the other morning, yeah.
Economist explanation for why there's such a shortage of everything is known as the Great Supply Chain Crisis, which means that things like tankers are in the wrong part of the world, but obviously bouncers are in Essex, which is obviously the wrong part of the world.
There you go. There you go.
And there are no lorries to take the bouncers to other bits of the country.
You can't transport them across.
Yeah, because you can get about 1,000 of them in the back of one of those big trucks, can't you?
But they can't get into the trucks because the truck drivers say, you're not coming in here dressed like that.
Now, the Queen has pulled out of hosting a reception for world leaders at the conference. What would she be doing instead?
Is she hosting the One Show?
Could well be.
I tell you who's done a lot to reduce their carbon footprint. Prince Andrew.
Yes.
He's not left his house for months. Good on him.
Andrew's not going because the word cop is in the title. The Queen actually has been told to rest. But why is she so knackered?
95.
Apparently sources have told the press that she has been staying up late to watch TV.
What sort of sauce is that, though?
Me, I probably said it. I don't know. So, I mean, she probably watched the extended version of this show, which goes out at, I think, 3:07 in the morning every Wednesday.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, the BBC have been really giving it a push.
They have.
They've been giving it a right look. There you go, see?
Contains some strong language and adult humour. Fuck me, I never knew that.
Is that Rue Paul Merton?
Yeah.
Who did lend Boris £800,000, do we know?
We don't know.
No, we don't, do we?
No.
Why did he need £800,000?
Well, that's, you know,
Just
it doesn't go far with that number of
metre
kids.
of gold wallpaper. Yeah.
Why would Boris need all this money?
Yes.
I was asking you.
Oh. You just said a very funny joke about all the children and talking over it with some crap. He would need it for all his children, Ian.
The local elections are happening right now as we speak. Why are the Conservatives predicting they will lose 1,000 seats?
Because they're optimists.
I think they're trying to let us down gently.
Yes, then if they lose
Or
less than
themselves.
1,000 seats, they can claim a small victory.
It's a bit like the captain of the Titanic saying New York's not a very nice place to be.
Something's gone wrong with Rachel Reeves' new book.
Yes, bits of it appeared on Wikipedia before she wrote her book. And it made huge chunks of it, apparently, which appeared elsewhere before the publication.
Yeah.
I find this one particularly confusing because I think Rachel went to Oxford and LSE, which are pretty, well-established, great universities.
There's a lot of thick people go to these places. Honestly, you'd be surprised that the standard has dropped over the years. Plummeted, hasn't it? Well, I'm not looking at anybody.
So my point is, I went to Hull, great university,
Yeah,
but in terms of the rankings, not quite up there with Oxford and LSE.
In terms of the what?
In terms of the
Rankings.
university rankings,
Yeah.
not quite up there. And yet I'm pretty sure...
There's not much else to do in Hull. That's not fair.
But I'm pretty sure one of the first things we got told was one, don't plagiarise, and two, certainly don't do it off bloody Wikipedia.
No, exactly. If you're going to copy, don't copy bollocks.
Yeah.
How has Conservative MP Michael Fabricant been helpful?
Is he not given any interviews at all?
He was discussing the birthday gathering for which Johnson received the fine, and Fabricant told BBC Radio 5 Live, the way it's been characterised, you would think they were pole dancers. Of course not. That was when he was mayor. Remember?
But again, it's the least of the parties, isn't it? I mean, there's the Bring Your Own Booze party coming. Yeah. There's plenty of other
The
parties.
karaoke party.
The karaoke party.
The wine fridge party.
Yeah.
I bet they're really grim, those parties. I bet they're not even that good fun.
You get invited to a party in 10 Downing Street, you say no.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. You got invited?
Yeah.
Right. When was it? This wasn't last year, please.
No. No, I got...
You're not still doing the pole dancing, are you?
If Philly and Hollaby had gone through the...
Philly and Hollaby?
That's how they're calling themselves now. If they'd gone through the proper queue, it might have upped the numbers a bit, but they weren't actually record figures of attendance, were they?
No, apparently they were slightly down.
Why do you think there were fewer people for this?
The internet. People have other things now. And the telly. You can watch it on the telly.
Live feed, ironically.
Well, the other reason is that on previous occasions, people have travelled to London from all parts of the country, but it's much harder to travel these days, isn't it?
It just shows how little the Prime Minister understands the public, in that he thinks if his girlfriend's snotty about John Lewis, then that's fine. It's old Granny Theresa May. Oh, ghastly, embarrassing style. Who do you think votes for you?
I gave Carrie the benefit of the doubt, but now I've realised that she's like a lot of my girlfriends that have Instagram accounts for their home renovations. I'm sure you see this all the time, Ian.
Yeah, no.
Get furious about it. And they, spare me. You know, 2 trips to H&M Home and they think they're John Rosher all of a sudden.
One of the allegations that Dominic Cummings makes in his blog is that the leaking last year of details about the second lockdown was not him. Who does he say it was?
Michael Gove.
Near.
A guy called Mauve. Anybody called Guy called Mauve? Can we look that up? Is there anybody called Guy called Mauve?
The argument was whether it was this friend of Carrie's called Henry Newman or whether it was Cummings. And you've got, I mean, it's a very, very difficult thing to assess. You've got the Prime Minister saying one thing and Dominic Cummings saying exactly the opposite. I mean, which one do you think is lying? Answer both.
It wasn't just Boris, was it? I mean, Prince Charles, he's a great champion of sustainability, and he went to COP26, which coincidentally is the number of palaces that the royal family had. And many of them are not used for much of the year, except as safe houses for Prince Andrew. And he also flew down to London on a private flight. He could at least have cadged a lift in Boris's private flight, couldn't he? I mean, who does the PR for these people? O.J. Simpson or something?
And Leonardo DiCaprio was there, and he made a big thing about flying commercial.
Yes.
But you're like, he can't write any legislation. Like, what? He could just zoom in. He doesn't need to be there at all.
Yes. He's very interested in protecting the children of the future and girlfriends of the future. Many of whom have yet to be conceived.
We're at a bit of a disadvantage with this question because it's Thursday and we don't know what's happened. So over to John. What's going to happen?
Well, everybody's watching Hartlepool, the Hartlepool by-election and the Scottish elections, which are both going to be, one, tough for Labour, that's Hartlepool, win or lose, and for Scotland, it's going to be tough for the Union, however well the Scottish...
Thanks, that's all we've got time for, John.
What I'll say about Hartlepool, Labour's problem there has been that they've had a problem matching Peter Mandelson's working-class credibility.
Yeah, you're right, this is Super Thursday. It really was, wasn't it?
It was pretty super in the polling booth I went to. I took my own pencil.
Oh, yes, because you're meant to.
Yeah, you've got to be very careful
reasons.
now. You don't want to share it.
I know, but don't you enjoy when you go to a polling station taking the pencils? Like, do you remember at Argos as well? Did you ever go... Do you know what Argos is, Ian?
You lost me on taking the pencil.
Sometimes gets confused between Argos and voting, because the last time we voted, you left with a fridge freeze.
I suppose we should start by saying something about the bond market. I have no idea how it works. Paul?
No, I don't know. I've actually got grade 5 CSE maths, which is the equivalent of 25 yards breaststroke.
That may well mean you're the next Chancellor.
You mentioned about Kwasi having a PhD in economics, which has come up before. No, he has a PhD in economic history. It's specifically about the Great Recoinage of 1696, OK? He doesn't know squat about what he's doing. And in case you're wondering, was that a financial success, the Great Recoinage of 1696? It was not. He has a PhD in failure. So...
I tell you, those of us who lived through that particular crisis...
Ian was the editor of Ye Private Eye.
What's Rishi Sunak trying to do with the NHS to appeal to voters?
Pretend he uses it?
So that's a good answer.
He's trying to reduce the scramble for doctors' appointments and give chemists more powers, what he calls common ailment services. Is that common as in plebby? What kind of ailments will chemists be allowed to deal with?
They'll be able to prescribe antibiotics, won't they?
Well, it's not what I've got here.
No. You have to take it to another chemist then.
All right.
Is it repeat prescriptions?
Earache, sinusitis, impetigo, laryngitis. It's a bit Mary Poppins, isn't it, that?
Yeah.
What else will chemists be allowed to do? Oh, well, I think you've just got
Bit of
this,
diagnosis.
really.
Could it be anything to do with antibiotics?
Yes, it is.
It's a repeat prescription. Watching Cummings give evidence, it's terrible because Cummings has learnt absolutely nothing. He's equally arrogant. And then he starts calling other people liars. And you think, you're the man who gave us the story about having your eyesight tested in a car when you were breaking the rules. He still doesn't admit he was breaking the rules. I just thought, I don't care if I agree with everything else you say, you're a liar.
I mean, I must admit, you're right. If this government goes on much longer, I wouldn't actually mind dying that much.
When he was giving evidence, I don't know what a body language expert would say, but he kept his hand in front of his mouth most of the time. I think probably even later he'll try and deny it was him talking.
When he first was in the middle of the COVID thing, Paul asked at one point, why on earth is this man, who's entirely unelected, dictating policy on vaccines, or indeed on lockdown, or anything else? It beggars belief that he could sit there writing WhatsApp message saying, let's get rid of Matt Hancock, let's sack the head of the NHS, let's sack everybody. Says who?
But in your current guise of a 1950s East End gangster, I think you should pay him a visit.
Yeah, I'd like to go round and give him an eyesight test. I read the story originally in the Mail on Sunday, and it said Angela Rayner disrupted Boris's Oxford Union debating skills. And I thought, well, this isn't true because he doesn't have any debating.
But then it turned out that she had been making jokes about it.
Yes, on a podcast.
Yes. She actually even sort of used a rude word for it. And I began
Is that the
with
word you've repeated?
No, it's not. It was a very similar word. It does begin with a G.
I think we're going to be showing that word later. So.
Oh, right. In what way?
In what way? I'm going to be uncrossing my legs.
What is the Anti-Growth Coalition?
It's an imaginary group of enemies. If you are doing very, very badly in the polls and you have no ideas, traditionally, you invent an enemy. You just list everybody and say they're anti-growth. They're anti-her. I mean, if she thinks she is some sort of growth.
Liz Truss said that the Anti-Growth Coalition included Labour, the Lib Dems and the SNP. The Daily Mail said Number 10 won't rule out Jamie Oliver.
This is the news that Rishi Sunak is big in Japan. A while back home...
As opposed to diminutive here.
Do you The big in Japan.
No.
No.
OK. 1984, Alphaville. Big in Japan. Great song. Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's move on.
It's quite catchy.
It's quite catchy.
I think I've heard it myself about 4 times in the last minute. Can't get it out of your head once you hear it.
I know.
Catchy in the sense that coronavirus was.
Why is the Prime Minister big in Japan?
He's gone abroad to avoid all the Conservatives telling him he's awful. He's got to find somewhere to go where they don't hate him.
Yes.
And Japan, they don't know who he is.
What else does Suella Braverman want to ban?
Homeless people? Tents. People using tents.
That's right. I mean, if she was just trying to ban camping, I'd be behind her.
But then you'd have to word that bill very carefully.
You would. You would.
There'd be a lot of pantomime to be out of business.
That's right.
I'm on in Richmond this year, by the way.
Yes, she is trying to ban tents. She said sleeping on the streets is a lifestyle choice. Nobody in Britain should be living in a tent. It's a surprise that more people don't choose to live in opulence.
Homelessness is a lifestyle choice. It's the last time I buy a big issue. If it can help the homeless, I help you live your dream more, like bugger off. Loving it.
It was not his finest hour. Anyway, he didn't invent that bus pass. That wasn't true either. She would have been entitled to go on the bus all day and keep warm anyway.
Lucky Elsie.
Yes. We do spoil them. Yes.
There was another very, very good moment. Susanna Reid said to him, "What are you doing?" And he said, "We're doing everything we can." And she said, "But could you do more?" And he said, "Yes."
Boris Johnson, of course, got into some trouble during the course of an interview before the election for saying he didn't know who Lorraine was.
Did you see the way Ian's eyes glazed over there?
I know who she is. She invented a quiche.
Exactly.
Why are red wall Tories furious with the Prime Minister?
This is the high-speed train, yes?
It is, Paul, yeah. According to one minister, the revoked plans were a bit like on bullseye when they show you what you could have won. Whilst another said it's a turd and the Treasury won't even give us the money to put any glitter. What did several plain-speaking Yorkshire folk tell the Yorkshire Post about their feelings on the scrapping of HS2?
Knowing Yorkshire folk, it will have either been to say, oh, we're right chuffed that that's finished.
Can you not use the word chuffed with train cancellation?
Chuffed in Yorkshire means pleased.
Pleased, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only time they do say please. One Elaine Gatehouse spoke for many when she said, absolutely delighted. We didn't want it in the first place. Who in their right mind would want to go to London any faster than they can?
Nearly everything announced in the mini-budget isn't going to happen.
No.
So all the pain and all the turbulence will be for nothing.
Yeah.
It is about confidence. And if the markets, which, you know, I know you don't, but, you know, the Conservative Party believes in the markets. If you ask the markets what they think and they say you're useless, then you have to think again.
It's interesting that the markets themselves have become part of the anti-growth coalition.
Yeah.
They are famously quite pro-growth, aren't they, the markets?
And you know who's joined now?
Oh, no.
The entire Tory party.
Do you think she's got a plan, Ian? Is there something that we've overlooked here that she may have?
No. The fact that you guys are 90,000 points ahead in the poll, does that not scare them?
They don't seem to have noticed.
It scares me.
We're all scared. On current polling, there would be like 3 Tories left.
Yeah.
Like 3.
Ian Duncan Smith.
The very good thing about this budget is that the country hasn't tanked immediately.
Being very harsh on the Conservatives, very harsh on the government. They're trying. They're going to sort it. What, they've only had 13 years? 13 years? They'd, you know, give them a break.
Are we doing the COVID inquiry this week? Is that coming up later?
Maybe.
Oh, OK.
Yeah, well,
I'll keep my comment for that now.
You are right, though, that this Jeremy Hunt referring to turbocharging growth was Liz Truss. Oh, my goodness.
It's all right, because no one remembers her.
No, you're right.
Liz Truss. She was a good Prime Minister, I tell you. A lot better than that other one.
Yeah.
Liz Truss.
Liz Truss.
Ironically, she was lacking support. It's a reference to Truss as well, lad. Thank you very much, thank you.
Keir Starmer must be fairly confident that he's not going to be issued with a fine, because he said, I'll resign. And the Prime Minister, when confronted with the possibility of a fine, said, I wasn't there, I didn't do it, I have no memory, there'll be an inquiry, we'll get the police to look later. Look at the two different approaches. I'm just saying.
My problem with the parties wasn't really the parties, it's just that no one ever explains what the party games were. They just... there was wine, there was cheese, there was party games, and I just... What do they play? At a Conservative Christmas party, apart from avoid Matt Hancock at the mistletoe.
Definitely pin the tail on the donkey.
Yeah. Or pass the parcel, but every time it lands on you, you have to add another layer of wrapping because the truth should never get out.
No, it's pin the blame on the public.
Calm down, calm down.
You're talking about mixed messages. I thought that you were referring to the fact that we discovered that there'd been loads of parties at Downing Street about a year ago.
Yes.
When they weren't meant to be having parties.
It was around about the time the track and trace app had gone so badly wrong, hadn't it? And it, I think it sort of messed around with various sat-nav things. Anyway, it turned out that number 10 had been flagged up as a dogging hotspot.
You're not normally like this. Have you not been out of the house much?
What has the Sun discovered about what's in store for office partygoers this Christmas? Many firms are curtailing certain activities.
Oh, yes, and no photocopying your bottom.
That's every year, though.
What sort of country have we become where you can't photograph?
We're going to hell, Ian. We're going to hell.
Is that what the private eye Christmas party's like, Ian? Just continue.
They do a brass rubbing of each other's bottoms at private eye.
There's an allegation that the government didn't cancel many parties last year, and this is what you mentioned, Camilla, even in the middle of lockdown. So, just explain the story again.
I think even in November, when everybody was in full lockdown, I think they were still leaving parties and sort of, I don't know, sleepovers and, pyjama parties and Secret Santa and, Twist and stuff like that. At Downing Street, it was basically a massive orgy. And we were all sitting at home...
Looking through the window?
Crying.
Why can't they do the decent thing during the lockdown and drive to Barnard Castle?
He specifically goes for the health secretary, but he doesn't mention Michael Gove at all.
Yeah.
Once. I mean, Michael Gove was in charge of as much as anyone else during the early pandemic, and he's been let off completely. It's a select committee, and the evidence is very selective. I mean, it's the most pathetic score-settling by a man, and if you go through his evidence, it just doesn't stand up. The only things that stand up are the things that we all knew anyway. All of us, even the filthy journalists and press endlessly trying to make trouble, we put all these allegations to number 10. Number 10, who's the spokesman? Dominic Cummings. He denied them all at the time. Now, I've just noticed. It's... anyway. It's beyond belief. I suppose this is just the unbelievable news that Liz Truss was Prime Minister. And now she's gone. In fact, her whole career was one enormous U-turn. She walked into Downing Street and then she walked straight out again.
She didn't drag it out.
No. They dragged her out. Yeah. She did 45 days. And that doesn't include the mourning period of the Queen. So just think what she achieved in 35 days.
They seem to keep doing shorter times per go.
Yeah.
It sounds from what you were saying that whoever wins next week and becomes Prime Minister, the victory speech will be something along the lines, I'm very pleased to have become Prime Minister of this country, and that's why I'm tendered my resignation.
He's only handing over his WhatsApp messages from 2021, from when he changed phones. So, yes.
Is that right?
So a lot of the messages we're not going to see, and the original phone he had, he was on a boat with Rebecca Vardy. Yeah.
Ruth, it makes me think about WhatsApp messages between politicians. So, are you in a WhatsApp group with Boris Johnson?
I'm not in a WhatsApp group with Boris Johnson, but I do co-chair his appreciation society with Nadine Dorries.
So, have you ever WhatsApped Boris?
Yes, but in his old phone. I don't think...
What has the Prime Minister had to say about this COVID inquiry going back and forth?
I feel quite sorry for Rishi, because he's in Moldova with Zelensky and the European leaders trying to do big boy politics. And once again, he's clearing up and being asked about Boris Johnson, and he's not getting to do the Prime Minister thing at all.
And you feel sorry for him?
Well, I do, because he's like this earnest and industrious little chinchilla that works really, really hard.
Yeah.
And then there's just this big looming gorilla behind him that just takes up all of the space and all of the lights, and he just, you know, he can't get on his wheel. It's a shame.
But Ian, you probably know, you can tell us what it means to Greek culture, the Parthenon statues, rather than, because they don't mean anything to us over here, really, do they?
No, I mean, it's the frieze on the top of the Acropolis, and the Parthenon is the one in the middle, and it was all one frieze. And Elgin went over there and said to the Ottoman Empire, can I have permission to take a few things? And then he just smashed it, took half of it home. And the idea that no one's ever minded, Byron at the time made a huge fuss. And Elgin was going to put the marbles in his garden. The only reason the museum's got them is he went bankrupt and needed someone to buy them.
I mean, that would have been a hell of a shed.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that? Where's Elgin? He's down there. With the head missing, just popping off like that. But that's the thing, you say it was the Ottomans, wasn't it? You know,
good sofas.
Yeah, exactly. Good sofas. That's what they're going to want back next. They're going to want our little puffy seats. Yeah.
Can I be honest with you? This is all mad interesting, but I don't understand anything you guys have just said. Come on, put it out there.
Inflation's 9%. And if you're watching the repeat, it's 10.
It is. It's rampant inflation. But who is definitely not to blame?
The global economic situation is not to blame, but in fact, the people who are to blame are people who were working from home at the Bank of England, according to the Mail.
I thought it was energy.
A lack of energy, the cost of energy?
No, the cost of energy.
I thought it meant just sort of general malaise in the population.
Can you explain this energy cap thing, which has been massively increased?
Yeah.
Yes. And at the same time, there are massive profits being posted by the energy companies, which some people are saying, your party in particular, I think that should be subject to a windfall tax. That seems incredibly convoluted. Why not just make the gas a bit cheaper? Is there a reason why you can't do that?
Well, I think
somebody thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but to be fair, you're working them with your foot.
The man who said he was definitely not to blame is the governor of the Bank of England, Andrew Bailey. He said that he was helpless in the face of global shocks, which is reassuring to us all. How did he try and calm things down after being helpless?
He said the situation is apocalyptic. And then we all felt reassured.
I mean, would this be a good moment for you to say something reassuring to the nation?
I'm trying really hard. Oh, the Eurovision was fun.
Yeah! What a hoot!
Yet another PM that's been to Oxford. Him, Oxford, Liz Truss, Oxford, Boris Johnson, Oxford, David Cameron, Oxford.
What do you say?
Well, I mean, what is it about Oxford that produces an endless list of bozos that come in front of us? Endless list of bozos.
Did you hear how Keir Starmer greeted him?
He congratulated him, didn't he?
Yeah, he said in Rishi Sunak's first Prime Minister's question time, the only time he ran in a competitive election, he got trounced by the former Prime Minister, who herself got beaten by a lettuce.
I do wonder if that lettuce is still going. I think they should do a winner stays on with Rishi.
Truss must be off salads for life.
Before he went to the States, Rishi went on a day trip to Dover. What did he take the opportunity to do there?
He took a tour of the White Cliffs and he visited the Vera Lynn monument and he sang We'll Meet Again. to a group of immigrants who are coming back again.
He turned up in his big pair of boots, didn't he?
Yes. Shouldn't that not say stop the boots?
There's no real explanation why he was wearing them. It's just like, oh, these things, yeah, that's the way I roll these days.
Aren't they very special boots, though? I think they're from Timberland.
They're Timberland,
yeah.
yeah. This is actually what kids nowadays call drip.
What does it mean, drip, in this context?
It means that he's got style.
Oh.
Right.
He'll get a free pair of Timberlands at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Which he needs, because he's quite short of money.
Well, to be fair, they are very good boots.
Yeah.
I've heard that apparently he deliberately ruffles himself.
Oh, I've seen him do it
up
on
to
this programme. Hair just come out of makeup, makeup's there, sort of combing his hair and stuff. 15 seconds come out later. Admittedly, there is a wind tunnel between there and here.
But it's an attempt to distract attention from the fact that his answers are all over the place.
Yes.
You just look at his hair and think,
Yes.
why is that so messy? And then you look
Yes.
at what he's saying, which was pitiful.
Yeah.
And he was smirking. He's still taking the piss out of us.
How do you feel specifically, John? Because I read that, so whilst these parties were going on, you were obeying the rules. I got told you got quite into gaming during the lockdown, is that right?
got what?
I think he said you went on the game, but I'm sure...
Just reading what it says on the card.
I hope you've got photographic evidence to back this up.
I was told that you got into gaming. You played games during lockdown, is that?
Well, I played one or two with my grandchildren.
Call of Duty?
Call of Duty. Now, the Prime Minister's version of that is going to people's leaving parties.
Absolutely.
He kept saying it was his duty to turn up to people's leaving dues on the grounds that this was good for morale, even if it was against the regulations. Whereas the rest of us who were trying to go to, well, funerals and, in my case, but leaving dues in the metaphysical sense, we weren't allowed to go. Everyone says, oh, it's all about the booze and it's all about the parties, how Puritan. Forget about it. It's just the fact that they made the rules and we stuck by them and he didn't. I mean, that is still the point.
So the wedding took place without members of the public gawping at them. Do you know how they managed to do it?
The cathedral was cleared of tourists just before 1:30. I mean, they got me out. I was just...
You stood there with your confetti. But I've got my confetti.
He said no friend, so I thought I'll come.
But you know what they told the people and the staff who were in the church? So they ushered them out by telling them that the building was under lockdown. So, as if, yeah, I know. And then, according
the first lockdown that Boris has been on time with.
So what has Suella Braverman admitted to doing 6 times?
This is the other Suella Braverman scandal. The immigration one's not enough. You need 2 now. And this is leaking, or sending confidential emails.
She's not very good.
No.
Is she?
I didn't know she'd done it 6 times, though. 6?
She's changed her story from 6 days ago. A lot of 6s in this.
Yes, you're absolutely right. She was sending confidential security documents to her personal email. Braverman apologised for her error in judgment. This has all led to a new nickname for Suella Braverman. What is it?
There was Leaky Sue.
Leaky Sue?
Leaky Sue, that's a new one.
Oh, no, that sounds like a drag queen. Leaky Sue.
It is Leaky Sue, which used to be our nickname for David James.
Oh, yes, I can see why.
You're into football, Ian?
Love it, love my football.
What did Mr Johnson say when he resigned as an MP last week?
This was the kangaroo court, was it? Was that the line at the time?
I don't know what a kangaroo court is, but whenever I hear it, I feel like he's hinting that he's going to be on I'm a Celeb next year.
Is it a court run by kangaroos or one that judges kangaroos?
It's a bit like sheepdog trials. I went along once and 3 were guilty.
He said, I did not lie, and I believe in their hearts the committee know it. He also said, I am bewildered and appalled that I can be forced out anti-democratically by a committee chaired and managed by Harriet Harman with such egregious bias. But what undermines this accusation?
There's 7 people and 4 of them are Tories. So even if Harriet Harman wasn't on the committee, he would still have been found guilty. I mean, some of them are Brexiteers. Everybody thinks he's guilty. Apart from Jacob Rees-Mogg and Nadine Dorries, and they're bonkers.
She hasn't resigned. She said she was going to resign, and that was a week ago. Yeah. Nadine?
Yes. Well, you see, Boris promised her a peerage. Another woman, he told a load of lies.
In other news, Vladimir Putin is running for president again.
He's running for re-election.
That's right.
In a tightly run race.
Yeah.
And his slogan is, I probably won't kill you.
I wonder what the election night coverage is like in Russia. Pretty quick.
There's an exit poll in which the opposition leave through a window. Thank you very much. I'm in Richmond all week.
On jury duty.
I'm not allowed to do jury duty.
Are you? Is it because you're often confused with a defendant?
Why has he chosen this week to announce that he's running for another term?
This is when he does his end-of-year press conference, I think, isn't it?
And he hasn't done one for a few years. He did 4 hours of answering questions. You can ask anything you like if you don't want to live.
Yeah.
According to Newsweek, some of the things he got thrown were, tell us when our lives get better, and when will the war end, to which Putin replied, what war? He also got asked, if Crimea is part of Russia, why does my mobile network switch on roaming after crossing the bridge to Crimea? Putin told the fellow to pop on his location services and someone would be along to help him out.
Sticking with the Christmas theme, why is businessman Carl Baxter worried that he may be stuck with 1,000 festive jumpers?
Oh, it's because they look like willies.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Tried to order one.
Here we are. Let's have a look at them. They spotted some...
It just looks like a thermometer to me.
I don't know how you have your temperature taken.
But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition. Ian and Joe have this.
Contestants shake hand before fighting to the death.
You come far.
Why the long pause?
Would you send it up to Sweet 17? The goldfish has died.
Right, now here's one for Paul and Giles.
Yeah. Oh, do you know, let's just sit back and enjoy this bit. I mean, come on, let's actually turn the corner in this show in the last moments.
Yeah.
Let's actually just let the country celebrate spring.
Yeah.
Let's not ruin it with any protest, just love it.
What about Mouse celebrate spring by tickling bum with pollen?
On which note we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Joe Root.
It's the
Anonymous
hackers.
hackers. Are they anonymous? I don't know where they're from.
No, we do know where they're from.
Are they from? Where are they from?
They are from North Korea.
Oh,
it turns out.
Has that been proven?
Not totally proven. But they're not going to sue me, so I think... No, I think it probably is North Korea. There's something in the code, when it was unhacked, indicated that it might have been from North Korea.
Giles, you know way too much about this.
Well,
I think you were
only
involved.
because I did chair the Cybersecurity Awards quite recently. I can't tell you where or when.
Is that security or Alzheimer's?
You know what the virus was called? It was called WannaCry. It demands money before you can get your computer files back.
Oh, it was all in Bitcoins as well.
Bitcoins?
Bitcoins.
No, we've left the European market. They're Bitcoins.
There's been a sort of failure of the government here, hasn't there?
They were warned, I mean, at least 3 years ago, that XP needed updating. But the trouble with the NHS, it spent a lot of money on IT already, about 12 billion, for a system that didn't work. So essentially it doesn't have any money left, so they didn't pay for the update.
We've not upgraded the security properly, and we've been running the NHS on Windows XP, so people have probably been told that they're dying by a helpful paperclip.
I like the idea that as a hacker, you would target for a ransom the NHS.
Yeah.
One of the few world organisations you know doesn't have any money.
Probably given Jeremy Hunt some ideas about how to get money out of it. What must it be like being Jeremy Hunt at the moment? Imagine he goes into hospital. He'll be the first person to have a sprained wrist treated anally. Sorry, Mr. Hunt, this is going to involve a bit of a run-up. Luckily, our computers are down, so there's no record of what's about to happen to you.
This bit of malware was actually stolen from the American National Security Association, you know, which is a misnomer.
Well, I think President Trump gave it away.
Does anyone know what the Russians have said about it? Exactly that.
Well, they're claiming it's not them, because the Russian Interior Ministry was targeted.
That was a decoy.
You're so clever, Giles.
These are just things I picked up at the cybersecurity conference.
The Russians have said this completely doesn't concern Russia.
Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's your next musical clue.
Interesting use of the word next.
Oh, it sounds like something.
I'm joining in.
I've not finished.
Oh, I think you have. I think you have.
That's it.
It sounded like something.
So the song was Pretty Woman. Here's a picture.
Well, it's Pretty Woman, isn't it?
Jane Austen.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be a bit big for the machines, isn't it?
Hasn't there been an argument that she's been slightly...
Might as well not be here. It's a buzz around.
Yes,
Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
Oh.
Just making a point.
My point is that there's been an argument that she's been slightly prettied up for the £10 note.
This is the news that the image of Jane Austen on the new £10 banknote has caused controversy after being airbrushed to make her look prettier. Here's how she is on the new £10 note.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the original portrait that's based on. That was drawn by her sister.
Yeah.
Well, it's similar, though, isn't it?
Similar, but if you're on Crime Watch, would you say it was the same perpetrator?
The 72 safety deposit boxes were left empty after they were raided over Easter weekend in London's Hatton Garden. The police revealed photographs from inside the scene of the crime this week. What did they show?
Oh, they showed this amazing tunnel that had been dug out by the people who were involved. But the odd thing was, I read somewhere that everybody was confused because apparently one of the men would be too large to fit in it.
They just need one little chappie and he opens the door, doesn't he?
One little chappie.
Yeah.
He goes through this hole.
I'd be interviewing jockeys.
In my experience of blowing safes, yeah. Just one of them needs to be, like the little chap in Ocean's 11. Yeah.
Now, the police have put out a notice. They are looking for a little chappie to help them with their inquiries. Do we know who any of the victims are yet?
Mostly jewellery owners.
Mostly jewellery owners.
lots of gangsters. Lots of the things in safety deposit boxes are stolen, aren't they? Just because you know, you're not allowed to go and look in safety deposit boxes, so anything you steal, Stephen, you can put in a safe deposit box. It could be a material thing, could be a concept, somebody else's idea, you put it away in there.
Could be the best dressing room.
Tonight we whiff-waff goodbye to Boris Johnson and look back at his life and career as a father, husband, journalist, Mayor of London, husband, Foreign Secretary, father, Prime Minister, father, husband and father. What will you all miss most of all about Boris, the Prime Minister? Ian?
I suppose I'll really miss being able to say this will end badly. Because it did.
It did, yeah.
And I suppose I'll miss his use of language. Tonight, I'm wearing a tie with balloons on it, but it's not a party. This is a work event for me.
Janet?
You say, what are we going to miss about him? But how do we know he's not going to be back?
I
think you know something we might not know, Janet. Maybe we'll find out
I just
later.
look at the opinion polls,
Yeah.
and 43% of the Tory members at the moment would rather have Boris back than either of the other two.
Yeah, but that's because Matron's just gone round with coffee. Trying to wake him up a bit. Who do you want to be Prime Minister, dear? It's nice, Mr. Disraeli.
This show, by the way, has been billed by the BBC as a tribute.
Tribute? Funny way to spell good riddance. This is the most powerful number, 7. Is that right? They did a survey. I must have read this somewhere.
They have. They've done a survey, and 7 is the world's favourite number.
Ah, favourite number.
Yes. Alex Bellos asked 44,000 people to submit their favourite number, and 7 proved the most popular. He describes it as the loner, the outsider, the Nigel Farage of the number 1. Shall we go through the top 10 world's favourite numbers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What's at number 1? Number 10, sorry.
So, number 10, what do you think?
Number 9's number 10.
No.
Number 8's number 10.
No.
Number 10's number 10.
No.
Number one.
No.
2.
No, all numbers are available.
Oh, 128.
No, at number 10, the 10th most popular number is, in fact, 11. At 9...
It's 10.
No.
40.
No.
21.
No.
100.
At number 9 is the number 2.
2.
The most popular number in 8th position is 6. At 7, the 7th most popular number is 9, and the 6th most popular number is 13. OK, here's the top 5.
This is going to be on Channel 4 for a whole evening. There'll be some talking heads in a minute. What do you think of 6? Yeah, love it.
I've always liked 5 because it's a working class number. That's what I like about 5.
Well, I think that 3, for me, I mean, when I was first growing up, I thought 3 was a magnificent... Oh, sorry. I've started auditioning. Sorry. Where am I?
But let's firstly complete the top 5. At number 5 is 5.
Yeah,
and number 4 is 4.
Yes.
And number 3 is 8.
Oh.
At number 2...
1.
Is 3.
3.
The magic number, and of course 7 is the top one at number 1. But
Yeah.
the study did ask people to describe the numbers between 1 and 10. 2 was thought to be cautious, wise, fragile and sympathetic. How do you think 3 was described?
Nostalgic, sexy, unreliable.
3 is pretentious.
Oh, God.
4, according to the people who responded to the survey, is laid back and a rogue. Yeah, this is absolute bollocks, isn't it?
Nigel Farage.
Farage. How did News International senior executive James Murdoch boast about the way the company was handling the scandal only a week ago?
Well, he said that they've contained the scandal and it's now in a box.
Yeah.
Yes, he said, we were really able to put this problem in a box marked fuck up.
He called him a mafia don.
Yeah.
Which isn't nice, is it?
Well, they were very upset about it, and they sent me a letter of complaint.
Really?
Pinned to a horse's head.
What happens to the rest of the horse? I mean, doesn't anyone ever get a horse's arse?
I suppose it must be for more minor misdemeanours, you know.
What, a horse's arse? I think it'd be worse than a horse's head. Wouldn't you? Waking up next to a horse's arse?
It's like...
I think there's something personal about that.
You might say that a horse's arse was more flirtatious, though.
Flirtatious?
That's an odd word to pick.
That's an interesting window into your life,
What, according to The Observer, did Rupert Murdoch do when Gordon Brown became PM and initiated an investigation into the phone hacking?
He phoned up number 10.
After the Guizy?
Yeah.
Their source was an ex-minister who wants to remain anonymous.
Do you think, though, that Murdoch could just ring up number 10 during your time there?
I know nothing.
You know nothing? Is that why you were in the cabinet?
So what did you think of him then?
What, Gordon?
Yeah, he was all right, wasn't he?
He was the Prime Minister.
Yeah. And you can't have a more ringing endorsement than that.
The news of the world may be dead, but its wretched ghost continues to haunt. The news of the world paid a private investigator to carry out surveillance on the hacking victim's lawyer, Mark Lewis, which involved following the ex-wife of Mr. Lewis and his teenage daughter as they visited a branch of Tesco. Well, if you're looking to intimidate someone, every little helps.
Go to round 2, the picture spin quiz, fingers on buzzers teams. Yes.
It's a new set
Ian's
of stamps.
Yes.
Is it Nigel Farage's nightmare?
This is the news that new computer software recognised 21 distinct facial expressions, when before it was thought we only had 6. Ohio State University have discovered that as well as common facial expressions, such as happy, sad, etc., I love etc. I can always do etc. There are compound emotions such as fearfully angry, which looks like this.
So you just come back from the hairdressers?
Right, what do you think this one is?
Is that, oh my God, where are my teeth?
You saw... No, this woman is sadly surprised.
Oh.
Right, now, Ian,
Yes.
I'd like you to
I see that
demonstrate
expression a lot.
some of them for me. Here are 3 expressions.
This one's
No,
embarrassedly
wait.
apprehensive.
Here are 3 expressions you often use. So please show me disgusted. Angrily disgusted.
This is the Telegraph.
And then disgustedly surprised. And Paul.
Yeah, oh yes, yeah, go on then.
Yeah, I'd like you to go from happy to happily surprised. Wait, there's a third. To fearfully disgusted. Now, according to the Mail...
Who won on points?
I don't know.
Oh, no.
You did a whole
I've got
black and
my
white
glasses
film
on,
at the
you're
end.
Silent.
According to the Mail, we reserve sadly angry for when someone we care about upsets us. Sadiq, would you show us your face whenever Ed Miliband opens his mouth? Oh, I'm sorry. It's gone too far now.
Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Oh.
Is this Richard III?
Yeah.
They dug him up and now they're burying him again.
Yeah. They found him under a car park, didn't they?
Under the letter R.
It's an incredible story. Philippa Langley had an odd feeling that Richard III might be buried in a car park in Leicester. A year later, she went back to the site and the feeling returned, although this time someone had hand-painted the letter R over the parking bay.
Amazing. For years and years, she was going, sure he's down there. There's an R. Why else would it be there? And they were like, restricted parking. She's like, no, it's too easy. People have had so much fun looking for him. Why don't they hide him again?
Yeah.
And in 100 years' time, they'll be, hang on, I was in Lidl, I saw this R on the floor.
It doesn't seem to be a recent story. They found his remains and they're going to bury him somewhere.
Oh, the story is
Yes.
that they think that it shouldn't be done with pomp and ceremony.
Should he have a state funeral?
No.
It's either him or Blair.
Chuck them in together. Why wait till he dies?
He's going to get 3 days lying in state, first of all. Jimmy Savile actually had 3 days lying in state. Just saying. I think they're wise to have let a little bit of time pass this time.
Do you think there are any shows on the BBC at Christmas about Richard III? His great career.
He'll be transported by a horse-drawn hearse which will visit churches and landmarks from the King's final days on a journey before his reinterment at Leicester Cathedral. So what's ironic about the ceremonial route which
It's
Richard...
ironic. He's got a horse. That was his last request, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And now they've given him one now. The poor devil's dead. It's a shame, isn't it?
Too late.
Yeah.
Do you know who's conducting the service?
Is it St Augustine? You're going to dig him up, especially. Bring him over.
That'd be brilliant. No. Everyone invited is dead. They've gone to the top, the very top.
Archbishop of Canterbury?
Yes, Justin
Really?
Welby.
Oh, Archie? Really? Wow.
He's conducting the service. Why does this cortege and lying in state worry some people?
He's dead. Why are they taking him places? I don't understand, man. Wave, look, remember, Richard? Do you remember the battle? What's happening?
Of course, this bypass wasn't here then, but that was built in 1957. Taking the Euro Disney, you haven't seen any of that. You'd have to tell him who Mickey Mouse was, but he'd get into it, wouldn't he? And that's goofy. He reminds me of the Duke of Norfolk. Yeah, just carry on. The other people are complaining about the smell. Just get on the ride.
They're worried that people...
You have to be 600 years old to get on this ride.
People are going to boo. Is that what they think? That people are going to boo the procession and be anti it?
According to Mary Mackenzie, a spokesman for the For Richard Society, already someone has placed a red rose on his statue at Leicester Cathedral.
What a bastard.
Yeah. He wants to think himself, look, he's not alive now, he'd be on £2 a week.
That's a lot of money to him.
Yeah, well, yeah. This is the reburial of Richard III. The funeral cortege will pass through Bosworth Field. Bit tactless. It's like giving Diana's coffin another spin round Paris. Richard III died in 1485. Historians point out that it's the most delayed funeral ever for a British monarch. Prince Charles doesn't agree.
Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the next one.
This is the Pope, karaoke night. He wanted to be friendlier to gays and to gay people and to people who are divorced, and he was trying to push this through, and the General Synod said, oh, no, it's too modern for us.
Yeah, well, that's right. The Conservative bishops wouldn't agree to the wording of a document the Pope wanted to publish, encouraging the Church to be more welcoming. So what did the Pope do?
Well, he leaked it anyway.
Didn't he just say, we'll have another vote next year, and then we'll have another vote the year of, and eventually they'll just vote the way he tells them to, because he's infallible.
Can you backtrack and say that we should be tolerant without embracing? Because that is how you catch gay. Everyone knows that.
This document regarding the Vatican stance on homosexuality, it has a Latin name.
Oh, yes.
Do you know what that is?
No.
It's relatio.
No.
It is.
Is that when we normally go to a commercial break?
According to the Times, what has the Pope recently hired out for the first time?
Sistine Chapel.
It is the Sistine
Is that
Chapel.
for corporates?
It was a corporate event.
Yeah, Porsche hired it for a concert. Although at the same time, the Pope has put a limit on the annual number of visitors a year to the Sistine Chapel. What's the limit going to be?
Well, it's millions, presumably. I mean, you only get about 5 seconds in there. You have to queue for 3 hours to get to the Sistine Chapel. You get in there and someone says, shut up, shut up, shut up. And then you try and take a picture and you get out.
But why is he limiting the numbers? 6 million is the limit.
So we can do more corporates.
Protect the artwork.
Yeah, to protect the artwork from what?
People.
The Pope thinks it's the bad breath and body odour of the people. It's damaging the frescoes.
No.
Yeah?
God, I work with so many smelly men, not you, Paul, but... in my
Have you lost your sense of smell?
I'm just thinking in my long TV career, I've worked with a lot of very smelly
Who were
people.
you thinking of?
Yeah, let's have it. Initials.
Just do an impression.
Initials would be easier.
No, I can't do impressions.
Oh.
But surely people are less smelly now than when the Sistine Chapel was built.
No, I've got a list of smellies. Actually, I've worked with female smellies as well. But usually they have big hair, which is a plus, because you can't get anywhere near them anyway.
In other politics, what, according...
Is there any other politics?
What, according to Miriam Gonzalez Durantes, have women been doing for years?
Faking it. But she's talking about faking it with all your clothes on, your knickers pulled up, and you're in the office asking for a pay rise. She's saying we've got to appear to be confident. It's so easy for her to say that. I should drivel, isn't it?
Say what you
Mrs.
think,
Clegg.
Janet. It's just no...
Do you know what? There's nothing I hate more than a woman who earns 170,000 a year telling other women how to live their lives. Like, it's so easy. You're working in a shop, you want a pay rise, you're going to go in and say, all right, I'm confident because Miriam told me to be confident. Go down really well.
Don't you think it's slightly embarrassing when the wife of the Deputy Prime Minister says, well, we've all been faking it, haven't we? What's Clegg sitting there thinking?
This is what she said, Mrs. Clegg. Women have been faking lots of things during history, no? So if you're going to fake something, fake self-confidence. Is that good advice, Catherine, do you think?
She's gotten somewhere, so I feel like I'll listen a bit. My little sister, for example, jobless for years, gives loads of advice. I believe in having self-confidence, but it should be genuine, should it not?
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to get you a pay rise in the current climate, being really brutal. And I hate people giving out advice, because you're kind of put on the spot all the time, aren't you? People are like, what's your advice be? Well, my advice would be, don't listen to advice from famous people.
Including you.
Thank you, Ian.
Sorry.
Including you too.
No, it was a logical trap.
Yeah, all right, it was a logical
Can I just say how pleased I am with Ian to be appearing on Loose Women? It's always been an ambition of mine to be on the show, and here I am. It's great.
Richard, here's another for you.
Oh, yes, of course, it's the flag of the European Union. We know that. Yes, Nigel Farage, and he's on his way to a public ceremony. Gays are allowed to get married since Sunday. It's fantastic. Really good news, brilliant. And this couple here are one of the first to actually, say the rights. They're now a husband and husband. Fantastic news.
Oh, it's lovely.
It's a lovely story.
A lot of people think it won't last, but I'm all for it.
I think so. They've had a couple of arguments, a couple of them in public, but, they'll get together as a couple. They'll be absolutely fine.
I think it's the story about Nick Clegg and Nigel Farage having a TV debate.
And who do you think won?
I don't think either of them are truly winners, are they? I think you've got best loser.
According to Donald McIntyre in The Independent, journalists had been briefed that Nick Clegg was going to do something unusual during the debate. What was it?
He was going to show some passion.
Get emotional.
On a space hopper.
And did he get emotional?
He got a bit emotional.
He used his hands a lot, didn't he? Sort of, just to show emotion and stuff. He and he took his shirt off as well, I think, didn't he?
Yeah. As far as I understand it, yeah. They wrestled like men. I quite enjoyed the debate, and I think because of the way I watched it, because I didn't watch the pictures, I just had the audio. Then I turned the volume right down, and genuinely I enjoyed it.
Well, it's slightly odd. You're the Deputy Prime Minister, and you're taking on live television a man who hasn't got one MP. And he wins. This is supposed to be equal status.
Apparently, Clegg told Farage, you're making things up to make a point, to which Farage replied, you've done pretty well out of it.
And he said he didn't say it, and then the policeman came out and said he won't answer the question. But he had a tape going in which he said, I admit I swore, and I'm sorry about that.
He was wearing a wire. And the feds didn't realise. He turned the tables against them.
Well, how long did the original incident actually last, the actual incident?
45 seconds.
45 seconds. And so far it's cost...
£250,000
Yes, it has.
to investigate.
Can we get the Chinese pay for that?
160 million people in China watched it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But they must really not have liked him. There must have been a build-up of animosity towards him.
Yeah, do you think he'd ridden up to the gates most days and said, open it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Clapping his hands. Open, come on! Bike here, eco!
It's a terrible dilemma. Do you believe a Tory member of the cabinet or a policeman? Public's got a real problem there.
Police whistleblower has actually come forward. You mentioned that.
They're all whistleblowers,
talking about a result.
They're all whistleblowers. They all blow whistles.
I don't think they do anymore.
Okay. Logically, it doesn't work.
Of the mobile phone. When this show began, you could have done that joke. I don't mean today. I mean 20 years ago.
I felt tense because you went very quiet. And I thought, oh God, I've cut across a friend of Tom Cruise's.
But, well, a whistleblower has come forward with the result of a plot to get Mitchell. And he says that Mitchell had a row at the gates the previous evening as well, after which one of the officers had said, right, we can stitch him up. I love the idea that they actually said it like you would in the Beano.
Paul and John, here's another for you.
Oh, cricket, obviously, black and white. The Pope. Yes, what's that? The Holy Beach Ball of Lords. What's that? Nuns. At least one of them's a man, I can see from here. The Vatican's got its own cricket team.
It has. Do you know what they're called?
The Angels, the Saints, the Pope's cricket team, the Vatican 11.
They're called the St Peter's Cricket Club. And if you ask for an LBW decision, they'll deny you 3 times, apparently. Yes, get those references in. Yes, sorry, Giles. What does the Pope think of it?
You know, 6-day matches, but never 7.
The Pope is really into football.
He is indeed, as we can see here in this photo. Oh, bollocks, it's not coming. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm being quite unprofessional tonight. It's hormones, everyone. It's not really. I haven't got any hormones in my body anymore, thank God. My husband's pleased. I haven't assaulted him for months. Do you know what Father Theodore Mascarenhas, the Vatican Cricket Club president, had to say? By the way, to give you a clue, he's an Indian spin bowler and he moves the ball in a mysterious way. Sorry. Well, he said, we hope that one day we will be able to translate silly mid-off into Latin. Want to have a crack at that, Giles?
My Latin is terrible. For years I thought in loco parentis meant my dad's an engine driver.
Julius Caesar used to tell that one.
Here we go. There's just time for the caption competition.
Say yes, you bitch.
She's saying, I've got a hole in my coat pocket.
And I leave you with news that at a conference in Tangiers, David Cameron suddenly remembers that the president of Morocco also went to Eton.
In Oxfordshire, whilst taking an early morning shower, Bill Oddie forgets to close the bathroom curtains.
At a Labour Party coffee morning, Ed Miliband suddenly wonders if the good luck gift from his brother really is a fudge cake.
And from his office in Westminster, Peter Mandelson activates the remote electrical charge device one more time.
And let's take a listen to the next history noise.
Next history noise.
Paul
That was
and Mark.
A zip?
It was a zip, yeah. Why is zip particularly historical this week?
Must be the 100th anniversary of the zip.
100th anniversary of the zip.
Yes, it's been 100 years to the day since a man first went, ah, no, that's just making it worse. Yeah, I'll tell you what, if cats don't like being stroked, they should try that. The zip appears in the top 5 of the list of 100 greatest inventions of all time. Can you tell me what else might appear in that top 5?
There's a moth in the studio. Moths. A moth. Fire. Fire's got to be one of the top inventions, isn't it?
No. I think fire was a discovery more than invention.
Oh. That moth is very, very excited. Someone's got something very old out the wardrobe. I think it's that gentleman's jumper.
It shows you how interesting this programme is. Everybody's focus is now on that moth. So, yeah, the fire. Yeah, fire. So fire's a discovery.
Let's take a look at the top 5. They are in order. The corkscrew or bottle opener.
Yes.
The optical lens, the zip fastener, the cigarette lighter.
Fire. Portable fire, I should have said.
What about the moth zapper? Really do with one now.
I told you to wait in the van.
All right, okay. Tittlecott Bridge in West Yorkshire.
Yes, that's nice.
Marathon bars, the English Channel, and the Co-op's ambient sausage roll.
Ambient sausage roll. Well, the English Channel was recently in the news this week because I think it's the French or somebody wants to rename it the English Pond. So is that things about being renamed? Like Marathon has famously become Snickers, isn't it, over the years? Gradually, it started off being Sarathon and it became Snarathon. So it's about name changes, isn't it? All these have been considered for name changes, but the only one that's changed his name is Marathon. It's as simple as that.
No.
The channel hasn't been renamed.
No, right, yes, the channel
English
hasn't
channel.
been renamed. They've all been renamed, apart from the English Channel, which the EU planners want to rename the Anglo-French Pond as part of an effort towards breaking down national barriers by creating new regions of Europe.
Well, that should improve relations between us and France forever.
In 1990, marathons were renamed Snickers to bring them into line with the global brand. It was originally named after a horse belonging to the owners. Ironically, the horse had been gelded, so no longer contained nuts. So. Ticklecot Bridge, no one followed the story of Ticklecot Bridge? It recently saw its name restored to the more traditional Ticklecock Bridge.
Yes.
After angry local residents launched a campaign. Local newspaper The Pontefract and Castleford Express said the council had been embarrassed because Ticklecock is a sexual innuendo.
No, it's not an innuendo. No. It's a statement of fact.
And which group was particularly outraged?
Pedants.
No, the Castleford area voice for the elderly.
Their slogan is aye.
On to the ambient sausage roll.
Ambient sausage roll, yeah.
Managers at the Co-op have agreed to remove the description ambient from its sausage roll labels after admitting they don't know what it meant. They have all been renamed, apart from the English Channel, which EU planners want to rename the Anglo-French Pond. In Castleford, residents fought a campaign to retain the name of local landmark Ticklecock Bridge.
Yeah.
Of course, there are a number of other places with names that would make most people embarrassed to live there. There's Shitterton in Dorset, Twat in Shetland, Swindon.
Oh, yes, this is the happy news of the mine has been released, although apparently viewers are getting rather fed up with the coverage because it's all rather similar. So the last 15 miners are going to be part of a lottery game where they're going to be holding up a number, and if you've got the number at home, it's your chance to win... Oh, what was that?
Somebody winning the lottery.
Oh, somebody winning the lottery.
Do you know what the sequence of events was for each rescued miner?
They got in a thing, and they took them out.
Yeah.
They got out of the thing.
Pretty much. According to the Times, the claustrophobic escape capsule takes 15 minutes to travel 700 metres. If you want to imagine what that's like, take a trip on the Northern Line. The 24-hour news channels have been enjoying this story, but there was just a hint that they might be running out of things to say. Let's have a look.
So far, the only miner to emerge from the tube with a beard.
For the Missing Words round, which features Lower Extremity Review, one of the leading bottom shelf magazines. And we start with Roomy Socks What?
Invite lodgers.
Oh, is this Wayne Roomy?
Yeah, it's a piece of graffiti, Roomy Socks. Isn't it? That's what's happened to spelling in this country. Now, the answer is roomy socks can be worn by anyone.
I used to what? Not now.
Vote Labour.
Says Blair.
I used to love politics, but not now. Yeah, this is...
Oh, Anne Widdecombe.
Yeah. No.
Sorry, I've got
different.
this thing where I just suddenly say her name. This is one of the least embarrassing times it's happened, to be honest. I get quite excited about it.
No, this is according to Labour supporter Robert Harris. Robert Harris's novel The Ghost has just been made into a film directed by Roman Polanski.
Yeah.
Comes out with a 15 rating, but Polanski swears it was an 18.
Biscuit police, what?
Crumble under pressure.
Caught hobnobbing.
Arrest disproportionate number of Bourbons.
The answer is clash with 86-year-old granny. Next, what three musical dwarfs?
Pavarotti's autopsy revealed.
On the third day of Christmas. True love gave to me. Three musical dwarfs.
One was 4'2", one was 3.
The answer is Cheryl's birthday gift.
When he said Margaret Thatcher did great hurt to the British people, although not as much as all those bombs, eh, Jerry? All right, Jerry, any time! Yeah. Straight between you, gizzard!
I thought we politically moved on from issuing threats to former members of the IRA.
Well, the BBC also interviewed Maggie's biggest fan and disciple, Tony Blair. Did you see his tribute? He said, very few leaders get to change the landscape of not just their own country, but of the world. I mean, well, he certainly changed the landscape of Baghdad. I'm sorry, Tony, about that, because he had a heart operation, you know, once he had ablation.
Well, he had one put in.
Did he have one put in? He did. And now, Lord Howe of Aberavon was asked... I'm not going to say that again.
Yeah, go on.
I'm not, Aberavon.
It sounds like you're drowning in a bath.
Was asked by Sky for his thoughts on his time in Thatcher's cabinet. And he said, it was a long time ago. Well, yes, that's the idea when someone dies, Geoffrey. A bit of reminiscing about old stuff. Come on, shape up!
I think you're in safer ground attacking Geoffrey Howe than you were with Jerry Adams.
Did you hear about Julian Stiles? According to the Mirror, Julian, 58, was made redundant from his factory job in 1984. I've been waiting for that witch to die for 30 years, he said. Tonight is party time. I'm drinking one drink for every year I've been out of work. 30 years? Without a job? Pull your finger out, Julian, you lazy bastard! I'll kill you, you bastard!
Let's abandon this show. Brian says, who wants a fight? Line up in alphabetical order. Adams, right. You're first.
Next, Peter Adams analyses Reginald's what?
It's got to be bonsai, isn't it?
Oak.
Peter Adams analyses Reginald's tree and finds it isn't bonsai, it's just very far away.
No, it was bonsai. It was Peter Adams analyses Reginald's bonsai. Here's Peter Adams in bonsai focus. It's his actual size, obviously. Several celebrities own bonsai trees, such as Ronnie Corbett. He likes a bit of shade.
Does Tom Cruise have a bonsai as well?
Hey, don't slag Tom off, all right?
It was just a normal-sized tree.
Leave him alone. Leave him alone. He's suffered enough.
Did you go and see him because you're going to have a remake of Twins, the Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger film?
You should remake all of Arnie's films, actually.
You have been well and truly rumbled.
The Terminator.
Yeah.
I'll be back. I'm telling you that. I will be back. I'll bloody be back. I'll tell you that. I'll be back.
Big Commando facing all those people. Oh, watch it, lads. Someone's going to get hurt.
Is there any other impressions you do other than me?
I do Tony Blair, but then I sound like him anyway.
Offend someone in Tony Blair's voice.
You know...
That's it. I'm offended.
Miliband, of course, used his conference speech to position himself further to the left of politics, people say. But did you see how he appears to be growing his own Michael Goves? You can see, sort of... It's like a Gove farm. And on the right, that's a sort of young beginner Gove. And then slightly more mature, further to the left. And then the one on the left of the picture, that's nearly finished.
Actually looks like the world's dullest boy band, don't it? No direction.
And finally, would anyone like to see the chat-up technique of Danny, Fancy a Brandy, Alexander?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's just, this conference has been so busy, so I've had so many things to do. So I haven't been up late relaxing in the bar, so that's not a problem.
That'll come on Wednesday, maybe?
Maybe tonight?
Maybe tonight, good.
How about you?
Yes, this is the Labour Party conference and the Daily Mail's character assassination of Marxist historian Ralph Miliband, who they described as the man who hated Britain. For legal reasons, we can't make any derogatory comments about Daily Mail editor Paul Dacre, but apparently his dad's an arsehole. Sorry, was an arsehole.
On the subject of air travel, what did we learn this week about women pilots?
Oh, God. I don't know, I'm just dreading where this is going.
No, no.
They're better.
Well, a survey found that 51% of passengers wouldn't trust a woman pilot. The survey was commissioned by a travel agent who surveyed 49 normal people, then repeatedly asked Godfrey until they got to... I know, I'm doing you a terrible disservice. I feel sure you are far more enlightened than that.
I know you've said that women aren't very good drivers, but they're much better than men at finding the mustard in the pantry. And I wondered, was that a euphemism? Like, have you often found yourself, you know, with women and you feel like you've been rummaging for ages in the pantry and... You know, she's screaming, you just can't find the mustard. Is that... where that came from?
Sorry, are we talking French or English?
Time now for the odd one out round. One between you this week. Your four are SpongeBob SquarePants, Sally Bercow, Walter Tell, and Carmen Miranda.
Fruit.
Sally Bercow fruitcake?
No, she was caught... I'm sure I saw this on Channel 4 News. This was big. She was at one of the conferences balancing some item of fruit on her head in a bar.
Yes, that's correct.
Walter Tell, son of William, balanced an apple on his head and had it shot off by his father. Carmen Miranda had a whole bowl of fruit on her head. Fantastic, and sang, "Yes, we have no bananas." SpongeBob SquarePants, he's quite a guy. Bob is the odd one out. Is it because he's got a friend called Patrick?
And he's the odd one out because nobody else knows anybody called Patrick.
Where does SpongeBob live?
He lives under the sea.
In a pineapple. Yes, but also under...
a pineapple.
No. Yes!
Yay!
Hello! Right. Is there an echo? Did you say it? Is there an echo? Did you say under a pineapple first?
There was a little echo over that side. He did all... you know what? Let him have it. Proper chairman, and God love you, Hump, would have said by now, I'm going to award points to both sides.
But I can't say it now. How spineless would I look? Yes, SpongeBob SquarePants is the odd one out. How would you describe his voice, Ian?
Rough, manly.
Touching Lord Helsham.
Well, Tom Kenny, the man behind the distinctive voice, describes it as a dolphin with a touch of seagull thrown in, which is also a starter at Heston Blumenthal's. And can you name any of Carmen Miranda's hits?
Yes.
I
like you very much. Way down among Brazilians, coffee beans go by the millions, and they got a lot of coffee there to sell. There's a full lot of coffee in Brazil. At last, the show's coming to life.
Carmen Miranda cracked America, but her English wasn't great. She told one magazine, "I say 20 words in English. I say money, 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 and I say hot dog." She went on to teach Nancy DeLolio how to speak English. Yes, they've all had fruit on their heads, apart from SpongeBob SquarePants, who lives under a pineapple in a fun town under the sea. Sort of like Blackpool will be once all the fracking starts. In other mistake news, why have Google been suffering from rogue anuses?
Oh, yes. 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 This is... there's a... There's a computer program which misreads old print, so arms comes out as anus, so farewell to anus. I drape my anus across her shoulder in a comforting manner. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. They sound as if I'm making it up, but I'm not, am I, David?
You're not making it up.
No.
The scanning technology they use to turn books into e-books can't differentiate between arms and anus in certain typefaces. Here's a quote from John Mackay Wilson's Tales of the Borders. Poor Janet shuddered at the words which she heard him utter, for with strange and wicked oaths he vowed vengeance on the individual who'd persecuted him, and she flung her anus around his neck and kissed his forehead. From Georgina Bragg's Matisse on the Loose, she grabbed my anus and positioned my body in the direction of the East Gallery, and we started walking. And in the complete works of Washington Irving, there is a reference to the great captain who had been one of his comrades in anus. Are there any other words that Google Book scanning technology is confused?
Yeah, it can't do tax.
Yes, it reads tax as free. No, it's burn and bum get muddled up as well, as in a patent for a carrier for an integrated circuit that talks of bum-in electrical contacts.
God, Scotland, what happens? It's bums night.
Where they all join anuses and sing Old Lang
And so, to round two, the strengthometer of news. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the first one.
That's a cake, isn't it? It's the Great British Bake Off winner, that is. There was talk about there being some misogyny. Some people on the internet were very harsh about some of the contestants, I believe. Go on, what is it now?
We were just going to tell you who the people were. The gentleman on the left is Monsieur Raymond Blanc, the television chef, and he tweeted what appeared to be a sarcastic remark about the winner 24 hours before the winner was announced, and possibly spoilt the whole competition.
But he got it wrong, because it wasn't the winner.
Indeed, he said, you know, French is my second language. Theresa May then phoned up and said, oh, you're some froggy waller, are you? Well, get out, get out.
This is what he tweeted. The Great British Bake Off, not much skills, female tears, and a winner so thin who makes me doubt her love for great cooking, baking. Who did that text refer to?
It referred to Ruby.
That's Ruby.
Ah, yes.
But you can't really tell how thin she is there, because she could have, like, a really massive body under there. Must have more photos of myself taken from that height.
And this is the winner.
Francis. Right. And a lot of Bake Off fans were furious. Yeah. What did former finalist Mary-Ann Boormans compare the situation to? Do you know?
No.
The end of the Crimean War.
She said it was like someone saying Snape killed Dumbledore before you've read the book.
Good grief.
Have you all read Harry Potter?
Yeah. Oh, no! My children and grandchildren are watching this. You've just ruined 7 people's childhood.
Well, good. Let's see what Frances said about her personality. My key ingredients are a dollop of randomness, a teaspoon of wonder, a pinch of eccentricity, a drop of serendipity, a handful of curiosity, a fluid ounce of fun, and a cup of cold sick. So, this is the grand final of Bake Off, which I watched this week. It was contested by 3 female cooks, which is odd because I happen to know for a fact that the best bakers are all male, and they're all called Greg. One of the finalists, Ruby Tando, received a lot of coverage for her looks. She complained, saying, if I see one more person use the pun doe-eyed, I will personally go to their house and force-feed them an entire Charlotte Royale. Ruby, you're doe-eyed. Yeah. That's dough with an O-U-G-H. If I'm not at home, leave it with my neighbour. Desperate bid to claw back Sunday evening viewers from Downton Abbey, the BBC auditions a new weather girl.
After the sad death of the world's smallest man, someone inquires whether his clothes will be on eBay.
And outside a surgery in London, a Strictly Come Dancing researcher awaits treatment after catching a glimpse of a naked Anne Widdecombe.
America? Yes, of course. They've just had these mid-term elections. There's Sarah Palin, Ian's favourite. And then there's Obama, the president, who is not doing very well at the moment. The American people, 1 in 4 think he's Muslim, 1 in 10 think he's a terrorist, 1 in 50 think he's a holiday they took in Mexico in 1968.
In the last US election, it was hockey moms. Who are the rabid right-wing Republican banshees these days? What are they called now?
Mama Grizzlies.
Yeah.
Grizzly in the Tea Party.
Sarah Palin said Mama Grizzlies are ordinary people with common sense who just kind of know when something is wrong.
That's good.
When she was nominated for Vice President, the head of the Republican Party in Alaska was asked what her qualifications for high office were. And he paused, and she said, she's the right age, and she's an American citizen.
She gave a radio interview. The host said, how would you handle a situation like the one that just developed in North Korea? Palin, obviously we've got to stand with our North Korean allies. To which the host replied, South Korean. Yeah, said Palin.
How's Bill Clinton been helping out?
Oh, God, has he been campaigning for them? Is that what they've lost so badly? It's that awful moment when Neil Kinnock says, I support you as a candidate.
I think he'd be good for them, wouldn't he, though?
Do you? You liked him? You liked Bill Clinton?
I thought he seemed like a very nice man.
Did you meet him?
I have met him once, actually, yes.
Was he at one of your concerts?
No, he wasn't. He made me feel very special. He came...
Did you keep the dry cleaning receipt?
On the eve of the election, Bill Clinton made his own contribution to the campaign. According to The Times, Mr. Clinton went through 9 different states, including arousal, ecstasy, exhaustion and guilt.
Heinz tomato ketchup moves too fast, it is not allowed to leave the factory. It cannot travel at more than 0.028 miles an hour. That's obviously an average speed, though, because, as we all know, it travels at 0.000 miles an hour on the first 10 shakes and then 1,000 billion miles an hour into your crop.
Oh, this is such a lovely story. This is about the pensioner who shaved 10 miles off the marathon by taking a sneaky shortcut and ending up in the Guinness Book of Records.
Unfortunately, he got it quite wrong and he actually finished before he actually started.
He finished in 3 hours and 5 minutes, setting the fastest time ever recorded by anyone over 65.
Over a distance of 12 miles.
Why were suspicions first aroused that something fishy had gone on?
Because he beat the team from Kenya.
Yes, Ian and Clive?
I'm not sure that photo's real.
Is it the Bee Gees?
These are people who've been released this week. These are happy stories.
She's Aung San Suu Kyi, who's the Burmese opposition leader, who's been in prison for 15 years, and she's just been let out of house arrest.
House arrest, yeah.
After a non-violent protest, which seems to have worked.
Is it Paul and Rachel? They were pottering around in their boat. They were taken by Somali pirates, and they've been released. Somebody must have paid their ransom.
One of the reasons they're released is that the pirates were getting bored because they've held them for ages and it's not cost-efficient. And the intermediary was a Somalian taxi driver based in London.
So no wonder they kept waiting. They kept saying, yeah, I'll be with you in 20 minutes. It took 3 months.
According to Max Clifford, the couple could make £1 million from TV interviews. Adding a successful book could double or treble that. With a movie, you could go up to 5 million, even 10 million. Then they really will be worth kidnapping.
Shall we have a quick Greedy Bastards update?
Yeah. Does it come with a signature tune? Greedy Bastards, Greedy Bastards, Greedy Bastards update.
Vodafone? I mean, anyone... What have they done?
Oh, is this a tax avoiders round?
Well, of course, it's bound to be. Isn't it?
Vodafone, they haven't paid any tax?
Goldman Sachs.
Boo!
Disgraceful.
Someone challenged them, the revenue, because the revenue did a deal where basically Goldman Sachs didn't have to pay interest on what they owed to the taxman, let alone what they actually owe. And the courts decided in Goldman Sachs' favour, which is absolutely extraordinary.
And Amazon?
I know this one. Look at that. I'm quite nervous. It's my first show. My dad actually rang me and went, don't spoil this for us. What a start up the 10. My average has been sat here going, just don't. There's a discussion going on around me, and in my head, 2 kittens are fighting over a pork chop. Yeah, they've avoided it by... It goes through Luxembourg, is it? The head office. So everything's processed here, packaged and sent off. But because the sales are processed in Europe, they avoid paying the UK tax.
But the man from Google's got to go back to Parliament to explain
why he didn't appear to be telling the truth. I'm not saying he wasn't. Just Google truth, see if anything comes up.
Sorry for Kate, I don't know. I just saw her this week and I think that she's just looking thinner than I've ever seen her.
That's what journalists always say. Oh, she's so thin, isn't she?
No, I absolutely don't mean it like that.
Are we seeing the birth of a new mime artist?
Don't be horrible to me again. You were horrible about me in private eye, and I rang you up. Yeah, it's okay. And I rang you up, and you just went, "Yeah, no, I'm sorry."
Yes, this was the fairy tale royal wedding. The wedding was covered by the world's media, including the German newspaper Bild, which lamented, "Why don't we have royals like the Windsors?" David Beckham wore his OBE, but breached etiquette by wearing it on the wrong side. Although, to be fair, it was on the correct side when he checked in the mirror.
Why shouldn't the government be too worried about UKIP in a general election?
Because if they get the same percentage of the vote, which is 23% of the vote, they won't get any seats at all. So a quarter of the country can vote for you, and you get nothing. Which shows the system's working.
But the good news is
that you're still in.
Is that the BNP would get in if you went for a proportional representation system.
Right. So you're saying better to keep it as it is?
I'm just saying that the British public, I'm putting on my Conservative Party voice now, the British public know what parties to support that will be reasonable and moderate. And that's all I want to say at this time.
The thing that amazes me about MPs is they don't seem to have any idea how embarrassing they are in public. They have no idea.
It's now time for the odd one out round. Just one between you this week. Ming the mollusk, Glenn Greenwald's phone, Bert Kwok, and the E. coli 0157.
Well, I think it's called Ming the mollusk because it's 500 years old and dates back to the Ming dynasty. And scientists found it, didn't know how old it was, killed it.
Killed it.
And then discovered it was the oldest animal that I think has ever lived.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you can get ill from eating those. E. coli can make you ill.
Absolutely. Bert Kwok, is it the actor or is it the part he's playing there in the Pink Panther films as Cato? It's the actor.
It's the part.
It's the part.
Cato.
Give us a clue.
Yeah.
Containing the answer. Oh, cold. Cold.
Oh, right, OK. Yes, Cato was hidden in a fridge.
Yes.
He was hiding in a fridge in one of the films, shot in the dark, I think, and he comes, bang. So it's about people being put in fridges. The mollusk was should have been put in a fridge and it would have survived. Cato jumped out of a fridge, he was all right. The E. coli bacteria is all right if you freeze it. And it's the bloke with the phone.
His phone was
the
hidden
fridge
in the
thing was right. Everything else was wrong. But I'm still going to give you a point because I feel like we should move on.
No, but the other one out was Glenn Greenwald's phone.
No, it wasn't. Stop taking over. You can do that on your radio show, which is on at 3:30.
You've got a radio show?
Yeah, Mondays 2 p.m.
I'm going to write that
down. The odd one out is Ming the mollusk.
Ming the mollusk?
All the others have survived a stint in the freezer, except for Ming the mollusk, who died. Glenn Greenwald, the former Guardian journalist who was involved in the publication of the intelligence emails leaked by Edward Snowden, regularly used to put his phone in the freezer. Why would he do that?
He was worried it would be bugged.
Or security, yes. There's an even more effective place you can put your phone to stop anyone hacking it. Any ideas?
Is that News International HQ?
A martini shaker.
Oh, OK.
E. coli 0157, one of the nastiest strains of E. coli, can survive in the fridge or the freezer. How old were you when you first got colonised by an E. coli bacterium, Janet?
Funnily enough, I had amoebic dysentery when I was 7. And I was actually in hospital.
How on earth did you get that? I thought I was...
I got it in Fulham. I grew up quite near you, Paul.
Yes.
I think it's something you sent from Fulham Palace Road to my road.
I used to send out those parcels all the time.
Ming the mollusk was an ocean quahog, a type of clam. How easy is it to date a clam?
Well, you have to get them drunk first.
There's an app called Chowder.
You need to watch out for chlamydia, though. It's quite... No, I've never dated a clam before.
No.
Pulled a few muscles. But if nothing else, this story brought out a certain solidarity amongst headline writers. What do you think The Independent, The Mirror and The Mail all went with for their headline?
Clam dead after 500 years. No, that wouldn't be very good, would it? Shuts.
Clam shut.
Clam.
Clam shell, clam shut, clam...
Tears. Cry.
Yes. Clam claps mime artist.
No! Are you taking the piss? You know what it is now.
No.
You do! This is what stupid people look like.
I've never seen anyone worse at charades than you.
No. That is a very good clam mime.
We got the clam
Oh,
bit.
sorry. The sad bit, the sorrow. What would happen? Oh, damn, it's such a...
A shame.
Crocodile. What a shame! Calamity!
No, that's terrible.
What is it terrible? It's a calamity! I'm not mad, am I? You all got that.
What were the tears for? How would that lead us to calamity as a pun?
That was useless.
Right, you're all going. You can be the panellist now. Come on.
They're not New Labour anymore. No. I hadn't noticed that. They're going to rebrand.
Yeah, Labour.
Labour Classic.
They couldn't call themselves New Labour when Blair left. It's like when Mike Nolan left Bucks Fizz. They couldn't call themselves Bucks Fizz anymore.
Labour could go with Bucks Fizz. Champagne socialists, but slightly diluted with orange juice. And the Lib Dems, what are they?
I think they're going to sit this election out. I think. That's probably...
They've got a note from their mother.
I think they'll play the sympathy vote to a certain extent. Just have Nick Clegg topless holding a puppy, just looking into the camera like that.
According to the Sunday Times, what has David Cameron decided to do?
Resign.
No.
Go on holiday.
No, this is about the TV debates.
He's going to debate with Nigel Farage. He's going for the toughest one first.
That's right. Cameron is going to take on Farage. According to the Sunday Times, Cameron wants the TV debates to be in a 2-3-5 formation. So that's Cameron Miliband, Clegg Miliband Cameron, and Farage Cameron Clegg Miliband with Yaya Toure behind the strikers. Thank you for laughing. I don't know what that meant.
I'm not in touch with Vivienne Westwood.
Right.
Though I did get married in Vivienne Westwood, so...
Did you?
Yeah.
What, inside her?
Karen Brady, off of The Apprentice, was at the Tory party conference. What was she wearing? I mean, what was she there for?
Oh, yes. Well, I can tell you what she was wearing.
You could say
it was
what
one of those body illusion dresses that makes you look half the size you are.
Yes, a
Is that
bodycon
That's
dress.
the one. Oh. Yeah.
Yes.
I've heard of that.
Well,
good.
Really good, yeah. Try one next time.
I will, yeah.
Not that I'm saying you need to.
No, not saying I want to.
We can have a look at Karen Brady's bodycon dress. If you believed the bodycon there, you'd just call an ambulance, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Brady was there to introduce George Osborne. Do you know how she did that?
George Osborne.
Bill Clinton did Tony Blair once.
Really?
I mean, introduced him.
Get your wife to do it now. That's the other thing at the conference.
Say,
I think
you're the
after
hero.
Justine's performance in the Ed Miliband show, no wife is going to do it again, are they? Did anyone
She
see
was
that?
told to kiss him.
Oh, yeah, and she has to do it.
Well,
not even prostitutes have to kiss. And there was also a spectre at the feast at the Tory conference. Do you know who that was?
Oh, Nigel Farage.
Yes, and I suppose the ghost of Margaret Thatcher was probably
because she was
there.
invoked, wasn't she?
Was she?
The mummy.
They did a
returned.
séance.
Anyway, he turned up, didn't he?
Yes, he turned up in Manchester to address a lunatic fringe... Sorry, Freudian slip. A fringe meeting. Here he is arriving.
Do you expect a warm welcome at the Tory conference?
No.
That's the spirit.
If there's no money, which they said there isn't, does that mean you now have nothing to talk about?
If there's no money, it means we're in a mess, and as you know, the frequency of my appearances goes up.
Oh, right.
With the more that...
And the money
things
you
are,
make from that goes back into the economy.
That would be the solution to all our problems.
Right.
Is it very, very bad?
Do you remember how bad it was in the autumn of 2008?
Yes.
It could be at least as bad as that again. It could.
You know the end of Reservoir Dogs when they're all dead, lying in pools of blood, having killed each other. if that was a sort of standard on the sort of pestometer, where are we at the moment?
The good news... The good news is things are a lot worse elsewhere.
That's good news, is it?
That's the good news.
Tell you what, you wouldn't believe it looking at your reports.
This is the last thing British banks needed.
You're absolutely right, George. I mean, they need us like a hole in the head. Our banks have become chronically short of cash. Normal commercial sources have more or less dried up. But here's what particularly worries me. Frankly, we might as well turn the lights off and get under the duvet and stay there.
Ian and Max,
Yes.
here's another for you.
Oh, good. It's a train? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a proper train. That's the two heads. That's better than one. But not in this case.
It's about investment and infrastructure, yes. Well, you know, they're building this enormous boondoggle up north. Yeah, and then they're...
Is that a technical term?
Yes, boondoggle. It's economics is called big frickin' waste of money. And, you know, if you really want to connect the country and get the economy going, give everyone free access to broadband.
Yeah, I think I'd prefer to take the train.
You can't get to Birmingham fast enough.
You can in your virtual self.
Impossible.
Yeah, so this is the wise investment / catastrophic waste of billions of taxpayers' money.
Because the Labour Party have decided now, it was their idea originally to do it, but now that the Tories want to do it, they don't want to do it anymore.
And did you hear the actual words of the dire warning from the government about the consequences if Labour do not? And
No, I'd like to hear you say it.
The precise words were years and years of gridlock, weekend cancellations, hellish journeys and replacement bus services. It's just hard to imagine what that would be like, isn't it? Do you know this week's figure of how much it's going to cost?
I think it's 130 zillion.
The government's current budget is 50 billion, although one independent study says it's going to cost 80 billion.
Well, you've got Mark Carney now as the Bank of England. He can just print it. Just print 80 billion. Just print it. That's fine. That's what he does. That's what he's there for. Print more money. Doesn't matter if it's 100 billion, 200 billion. Just print.
No downside to that?
Well, unless you include inflation. As long as you don't mind paying extra for energy and food, it's okay. Just keep printing money.
OK, let's have the train.
Bail out the banksters. Bail out. Just print money, it's fine. You put the money in the train and take it to Birmingham.
Listen, Max, 1 hour, 20 minutes to Birmingham. It's too long. I want like an hour. Too long. I got stuff to do in Birmingham.
Very busy. Very busy man.
I got concrete to pour.
Yeah.
Doesn't pour itself, you know.
It doesn't.
Doesn't pour itself.
I don't care how many billions it costs. That shaves 20 minutes off of me getting to Birmingham and pouring concrete.
It's time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication, Ratitude. The magazine of the North of England Rat Society. For northerners who don't find pigeons dirty enough. And we start with, Putin is what, says author?
Great bloke and I want to live.
Yeah.
Is it gay? The answer is latently gay, says author. A new biography of Vladimir Putin speculates that he might be latently gay. The biographer is not the first to make this claim. The idea that President Putin is latently has been put forward by a number of recently deceased psychologists. Next, chimps take what?
Is it the fucking piss?
The answer is chimps take their owners to court.
No, they don't.
This is the story of a court case in New York in which 4 chimpanzees are seeking to be recognised as humans. The complexities of the chimpanzees' case have left legal experts scratching their heads, rubbing their asses on ropes and eating things from behind each other's ears. Next, from a rat PR point of view, what was very negative?
The bubonic plague.
No, it's the name Red-Eyed Devil. Next, Chinese girl had what in her ear?
British Prime Minister talking patronisingly. Got a flower in her head.
It was a fully grown dandelion. A doctor tried to remove it by blowing, but all that happened was he found out it was 3 o'clock. Next. What was high at Thirsk Rat Show?
Sexual tension. The body count. It was an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah. The safety officer.
Looks all right to me. Just duck the rats on it. Good stuff.
The overall standard of ears was... Next. Clown epidemic what?
Relatively easy to spot.
Clown epidemic in Norfolk, warned police. Police in Norfolk have warned of an epidemic of people dressed as clowns. Clowns are actually fairly easy to capture because they tend to have extremely unreliable getaway cars. Finally, what can add an element of aggression into the relationship which can backfire?
Drunken fighting amongst priests.
You bastard! You can't have a wedding.
It's shouting at a rat. What? The last time I had a rat backfire was when I stuck a firework up it. I'm just joking, obviously. It was a kitten.